Okay, the ayahuasca of it all. Okay, I was using the of it all because I was re-listening to the first part of the installment. This is part 2 of ayahuasca. And in the first part, I noticed I had the of it all so many times that it kind of became a joke for myself. I want you to know, as my listener, I re-listen to these episodes at least a handful of times before they publish. There are reasons for this. For one, I'm auditing my speaking to see, oh, okay, could have cleaned up here, whatever. For two, as I'm speaking, I mean, this episode, I'm really taking a risk because, I have no notes. That was dumb, right? But we're just going to get into it and I'll explain why. But yeah, like no notes. So I like to re-listen to things to see like, well, how was that? And the other reason is I am my big fan. I am my biggest fan. I like to hear myself talk. I enjoy it. I enjoy me is what I enjoy. And so that's why for my listeners' experience, I hope what I'm able to bridge as enjoyment is as much as I'm enjoying the practice of speaking and then the after like the listening, I'm hoping that extends to you and your experience too. But again, this podcast is for all audiences, even so like for people that like my content, for people that are like indifferent but curious about my content, for people that don't like me. I'm open to everyone. So welcome. Now, I should have notes in front of me because I literally have a MacBook in front of me. I have the ayahuasca journal in front of me, but I'm deciding that, fuck it, we're going to wing it. I know, but hey, it's show ahora. And the reason why I'm recording right now, even though honestly it's almost 2 p.m, I should probably head back to my place. There's so much going on at my home. I'm in the middle of a move, a very spontaneous move. We had enough kind of like cumulative issues at our current house that we just decided to say fuck it and fuck off. And we are moving to a much nicer place in like a more like in a like a further away neighborhood, kind of like a lower income neighborhood, but the place itself is like much nicer than where we are currently living. So that's kind of exciting too, because the house like where we are living will be really nice, like newly renovated. And I'm curious to explore this neighborhood of Montreal because obviously I'm familiar, but like to actually inhabit it, it's always cool to kind of explore new neighborhoods. I'm a huge fan of Montreal. Like I love Montreal. It's very cool to feel this way about where I was born and where I live, because I feel like there are a lot of people that don't really have a sense of home, or like they're looking for home. They're trying to looking for home. The way I feel about Montreal is I hope I die here. I don't have to, but I hope I do, to be born and to die in Montreal. What a gift. Maybe I'm thinking in like a small world context, but maybe that's just what it is. Maybe that's like my homey point of view. Like I love Montreal. Obviously I intend to travel. I intend to see more of the world, but I could also easily spend the significant remainder of my life in my city, because that's how I feel about it. So it should be really cool to go about this move. I should be helping my friends right now. I kind of have an out, and I'll explain why. So this is the ayahuasca episode. This is your trigger warning. Shout out to one of my listeners who actually took me up on my call to action and has been emailing me and giving me some feedback, which has been very helpful, and I really appreciate that. And also it's awesome because it gives me like this proof of concept that if I say like, hey, email me, Spencer@socialdynamicsnerd.com. If you email me, like I'll engage. You get to go directly to me. And she said when it comes to the trigger warning stuff, because I was mentioning like, do I, don't I, when I was talking about my pickup artist experience, she said, just do it, just give a little warning. What more does it take? So I appreciate that, which is why in the ayahuasca episode, I really want anyone to know right off the bat, the immediate trigger warning you need to know is we will be discussing vomiting, puking, vomiting. Okay, this is happening. Me personally, no problem. I have some friends though that have these like phobias, truly like an actual charged phobia around. I have one friend actually, but like just knowing her is enough to know like, wow, really, it's that serious for you? Like the experience of feeling nausea drives her into a panic because she's terrified of vomiting, which is so interesting. I can't relate. I'm not going to say because I definitely don't like vomiting, but like when it's happening, it's happening. It's all good. It's just like any other thing that like needs to happen. So I'm giving this trigger warning because in this ayahuasca episode, what you need to know is like when working with ayahuasca, they call, it's often referred to as, I think it's I'm sorry if I'm getting the la, L, whatever, but like la purga, So it's like the purge. Ayahuasca is known as the purge. And this is actually my favorite takeaway from ayahuasca. I know in the previous episode, my spoiler for the experience was, I left and at the end of the day, I was like the exact same person. And that's true. And I actually do find a lot of solace in that. Like I enjoy that reflection for myself. It's slightly disappointing. It's slightly disappointing when you consider how much intention I was building up for the experience, like years in the making. Slightly disappointing, but it was, even back then and still now, even more now, a relief because I don't know. There's something interesting about feeling so absolutely grounded in spite of it all. But where I should give a little correction corner is I actually, one mechanical, like language, let's just say language that I pulled away from the ayahuasca retreat that has continued to be a helpful way to think about like a tool is the element of a purge. A purge. So before we get into that, I just want to say as much as I should be helping my friends right now, I have a bit of a cop out because yesterday, speaking of purging, yeah, we might as well break the ice right now. Let's go full discuss so that we can comfortably get into this episode, which will be really interesting when I explain what the Vomitivo is. So stay tuned for that. Let's break the ice. So yesterday around 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning, I was woken up by, I don't know, nausea, pain, and I ran to the toilet. I'm at my parents' house. So I was sleeping at my parents' house, ran to my toilet, vomited. I thought what happened was I perhaps overate the night prior. Like this happens to me once every few years where I maybe just go a little too hard with the calories and then my stomach gets upset and I vomit. I thought that's what happened. But then throughout yesterday, I continued to be vomiting, and not just vomiting, but I continued to be in extreme like gut pain. I actually was like craving vomiting at some points because of how much pain I was in. Like that feeling of relief immediately after, like I was seeking that. I found myself at some points throughout the day just drinking a little too much water, knowing I would throw it up because I can't keep anything down. But just because I was in so much pain that I thought, okay, well, if I maybe if I force myself to vomit right now, I'm going to feel better. And that kind of was the case yesterday. I'd feel better for the first 5 minutes, but then the pain would set in. And that was tough because yesterday I was thinking about it. I thought, oh, this is funny. I actually came to my parents' house to record this fucking episode that I'm behind on. I think if I were to look on my calendar, it's supposed to be posted this week probably, or maybe this upcoming week actually. So not so bad. I came here to record this, but I ended up just spending the whole time being sick, which I'm kind of grateful for because I don't think I would have felt as comfortable being sick at my apartment, especially given that we're moving. It would have been a little too chaotic. And honestly, I felt very comfortable to be myself. Like yesterday, I was in so much pain that I was letting myself feel it, as in express it, very much in nature with a purge. A purge. So let's talk about what I got from the tool of a purge. When at the retreat, they were explaining this nature of purging, they made it really clear, like, okay, well, one thing everyone's familiar with is anyone who's done a little bit of research around ayahuasca, you already know if you're here to drink ayahuasca, there's a very strong chance you're going to vomit or shit. You expel things. But what I really appreciated was when they talked about the nature of purging as these other things, such as purging can be laughter. Purging can be crying. Purging can be shaking, trembling. Purging can be speaking, kind of like voluntarily speaking, like, it's like right now I'm not purging by speaking. Right now I'm speaking with an idea in mind, and I'm speaking with a listener in mind. I'm actually speaking thoughtfully is really what's happening. But a vocal purge would be just kind of like, I personally do think I do this all the time, just like verbal free associations of whatever coming out of my mouth. Okay. Like, actually, that was one of my vocal stems once. Actually, just because it's like some sort of set of relief. So I really appreciated that when they were introducing this framework of purging, that it was like this whole spectrum thing, not just vomiting in a bucket. And yesterday, when I was in my parents' house, being sick all day, comfortable, because this is also the house I grew up in since the age of like 5. So this is my house. I was on the couch in the living room, like really groaning, like really like like really like that. And I thought, okay, I'm really happy I'm home because the only people here are like my mom. My dad was there for a moment. And if I were at my apartment, it would be my friends and like their children. And I don't know, I think I might have masked more, less purging, more masking, more containing it, which is fine too. I was thinking about like, oh, what would, for instance, Kobe Bryant have done in this situation? Like if you've ever seen clips of this all-star basketball player, he's on the court getting his nose broken, getting his finger dislocated, tearing his Achilles, like all these things. And he kind of just walks it off in every single instance. So I thought, okay, well, if I wanted to pull a Kobe, I guess I would like lock it in and just be very stoic and unwell. But I was really appreciative that yesterday I felt like, nah, I'm just letting it all out. Like I'm home. It's my safety. It's the container where I can really just let it all out. So there I was vomiting, trying to stay hydrated, vomiting whatever I'd hydrate myself with, be like groaning in agony because I'd feel the nausea in a painful way. The act of vomiting doesn't disturb me at all. It's the nausea was so upsetting, especially not having a point of relief, because one thing about needing to vomit, like as long as I could just get it out, once it's out, it's good. But yeah, I think what happened was I probably had a little 24-hour bug, and the math really maths if I think about it, because a week ago, my friend who I live with also had a 24-hour bug. I just thought, really, it's going to take a week to get me? But, I looked it up, and indeed, apparently even right now, I'm contagious and will be contagious for the next 3 days. It's really unclear how to stop the contagion, because I was figuring out, like, well, should I wear a mask, whatever. But apparently this is not necessary for, like, gastro things. I just have to really wash my hands often. Like, okay, I don't know. Like, I'm not puking anymore. All's well. But this is the ayahuasca episode. Now, why did we discuss all this? Because puking is such a thing of the ceremonies. It's such a point of it. Like, it is a tool. The purge is a tool. And it's best that you as my listener just get like comfortable kind of ripping off that Band-Aid with me. And I'm actually going to explain how they did this at the retreat, because they have a way of ripping off the Band-Aid that I thought to be really fascinating. And it also, as someone who was kind of like exiting these like these like cult, like I've never been in a real cult, but you know what I mean? Just like a cult-like environment, RSD, whatever. When I was experiencing what was happening at this ayahuasca retreat, I was kind of like, okay. Like the cult-like behavior just keeps following me. Somehow I just keep finding it. But it was more like a group activity called Vomitivo. So basically on this retreat, just to give the background, I signed up for 2 weeks of the retreat. There's two choices for this programming of what I did. It was like ayahuasca and yoga or whatever. Ayahuasca yoga retreat. Boom. You could do the full month, so a full 30 days. And at which point, I think they get like 8 ceremonies. Something like that. I forget, because that's not what I did, so I wasn't paying too much attention. Or you could do half of the time, 2 weeks, which means when I'm there, I'm building relationships with everyone. I'm in this experience with everyone, but there's a smaller portion of us that are leaving halfway through the experience. And then the remainder of the group, they're staying and they're still going to be working with the medicine. I did the 2 week stint because actually I don't remember what my thought process was. I know I did a lot of research. I did a lot of like figuring out what seemed to be the best thing. I was also working within my budget. So naturally, obviously the 2 week retreat would have been less expensive. I also was very drawn to this idea that I'm going to give myself a month. Oh, burping. That's a purge too. Burping. I'm going to give myself a month and a month in Peru. And so what I thought is, if I just spend a whole month at the fucking retreat, like that's kind of lame. No. Also, part of getting ready for ayahuasca, you have to do a dieta. So you have to do a very specific diet the 2 weeks before, the experience during, so for me that was 2 weeks, and the 2 weeks after. You have a very specific diet that'll follow. And I thought, well, it makes way more sense to experience and live out my post-ceremony integration period when I'm still in Peru, when I'm still like locked in and focused. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do the 2 week option for the retreat with Temple of the Way of Light is where I went. I'm going to do the 2 week option. And I'm going to then spend the other 2 weeks in Iquitos, which is like the little jungle city of where it was. And it's interesting because I'm really happy I did this because one, it's different. It's different. It's not the norm. It's not the normal thing to do for Iquitos tourism. I like that for myself. I usually like to do my traveling against the grain, unlike what the normies would do. So apparently, and I figured this out once I got to Iquitos, absolutely no one spends time in Iquitos. No one is spending time in Iquitos. That's what I figured out really quickly. Nobody's spending, and I know we're going to get to the Vomitivo. Don't worry. Sorry, we're just backtracking because now we're in Peru. No one spends time in Iquitos. Most tourists are doing two things when passing through Iquitos. One, jungle tour. They're jungle tours. They could do a jungle tour. Two, ayahuasca. That's it. That's it. That's really it. And when it comes to being in Iquitos, a very, very small little jungle city town, is it a city? I don't know. Lively little town. Most people, they stay a day or two just until they have to get out and go to their flight or whatever. So I did it a little differently. And I was probably in Iquitos for just 3-4 days. I don't know. But really not much. It couldn't have been too much. So just a couple of days. And then it was my 2-week retreat. And then it was 2 weeks back in Iquitos, just being there. And what I would come to learn is everyone thought it was so weird that I was deciding to spend 2 weeks in Iquitos because they're like, why? There's nothing to do. But I guess where I don't relate to people is well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I loved Iquitos. I thought it was so cool. First of all, it was my first real trip, elsewhere in the world, alone. Yeah, it was my first, I'd only ever traveled alone leading up to that when I'd go to the cities in the United States to follow that pickup artist cult. But then this is my first real ass trip alone. I'm in South America. I'm in Peru. This for me is huge. And there's so much to see. There's art on the walls. There's the sidewalks. There's the potholes. There's the different tuk-tuks. There's so many things to see and experience. And I actually found in the 2 weeks, if you give yourself the time, you'll realize you almost can't figure out what to do with your time. And I kind of live in my recreational life. I'm more slow girl personally, as in I really enjoy just chilling. And I remember in my time when I was in Iquitos, this is after the retreat, part of what I would be doing is spending my days inside. I had an Airbnb. So before I went to the retreat, it was a hostel because whatever, right? Minimum effective dose of survival, a little hostel with other travelers. After the retreat, I got myself Airbnbs so that I could be alone because it seemed to make sense to me that I should have solitude while I'm in this integration period, and that I don't regret that at all. But I would spend my days in the high heat chilling indoors and kind of working on my integration, my intentions, my thoughts, whatever, just everything going on. And then I'd spend my evenings going out, and it was lively. I'm a huge fan of South America. I love Montreal and I love South America. What more do I need? Not much. I honestly don't need much. I don't need much. I love Montreal. I love South America. Bada bing, bada boom. If I could just bounce between Montreal and South America, wherever in South America, I'll have a probably pretty good time. So as you know, so I got to Iquitos. I was in my hostel. I shared in the previous episode, I kind of had that experience of, waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of thunder and lightning shining through the hostel. And it was my first deep sleep in almost 2 years of feeling like a stressed out workaholic, max cortisol. And then I would spend my Iquitos days, the couple days before the retreat, just going to eat at one of the local go-to ayahuasca restaurants that was compatible with the diet. So by the time I'm in Iquitos, I've already been practicing the ayahuasca diet for 2 weeks. And this is where I absolutely should have notes. So we're going to casually keep talking while I also casually simultaneously Google so that it seems somewhat natural and somewhat prepared. So I would go eat at this cafe, and it was interesting because I would do a lot of people watching there and kind of people eavesdropping, because I figured people who are eating at this ayahuasca cafe, we're not drinking ayahuasca at the cafe, just to be clear. It's a diet place. They're cooking with low salt, no sugar, super bland food, no spices. This is specifically for the drug tourists. I can't imagine in the following months when the pandemic started, because again, it was 2019 when I was doing this. In the following months, like what happened to this restaurant, I don't know, because I don't think anyone would be really called to eat there if not for drinking ayahuasca. So what is ayahuasca dieta? In the 2 weeks prior to the ceremony, I was following La Dieta, just by the way. I was following La Dieta, and we're going to read this list from this random site. Basically, hold on. Let's get it right. Okay, here's what to avoid. Here we go. 2 weeks before your retreat. All plant substances, cannabis, psilocybin, San Pedro, etc. Synthetic psychedelics, LSD, MDMA, 5-MeO, DMT, ketamine, etc. Recreational drugs of any kind, alcohol, red meat and pork, kratom, kava, highly processed foods. See, I wonder how you make that distinction versus highly and moderately. I think when I was following my dieta, I just kept it all natural, whole foods, because it's kind of a no-brainer. You can't go wrong. Whereas when you're like negotiating what kind of processed food is okay, it changes the conversation a little bit. Avoid artificial sweeteners, preservatives, or food dyes. Avoid sugar, salt, oils, or animal fats. You see? Like, it's that kind of cooking. Sugar, salt, oils, animal fats. Avoid it. Cottage cheese, blue cheese, soy products. See, I didn't even know that. Heavy media consumption. No news, social media, violent or overstimulating content. I mean, that's probably pretty wise, because you never know where the ayahuasca is going to like take you in your mind. And I guess if you have like a fresh print on your mind of just a lot of violence, a lot of worldly violence, it's like, I don't know, it's like watching a shit ton of scary movies before going to bed. You don't really want to be in that dream, do you? 1 week before your retreat. So the week leading up to the retreat, it's even more stripped down. I'm pretty sure it says avoid caffeine. I'm pretty sure I stopped caffeine 2 weeks early. That's what my retreat called for. So I should actually be on the Temple of the Way of Light website, because it would actually be accurate, but whatever. I'm already here. It's pretty much the same. So avoid coffee, matcha, green tea, energy drinks, avoid sugary drinks, avoid garlic and onion. You know what I mean? Like that kind of food. It's like the most bland food ever. Avoid spicy, fermented, or pickled foods, overripe or smoked foods, all dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, kefir, etc. Avoid fried, greasy, or overly seasoned foods, refined carbohydrates, white bread, white pasta, pastries. Focus on grounding meals, daily rest, gentle movement, and connecting with your intention. This one says 3 days before your retreat. Now, I'm going to say, I'm not going to read that because it's not the one I went to. I'm actually going to look up the Temple of the Way of Light. Just Temple of... Now, I hope they don't sue me or anything for talking about them openly, but I have nothing terrible to say about them specifically. I think it's probably lesser of evils. At the end of the day, my ultra critique on the whole thing is I think the commercial nature of ayahuasca is the problem, and I know that I directly participated in that by attending this retreat for commerce. That's kind of like when I see the Temple of the Way of Light, I'm like, well, it's what are they? I'm sure they're doing good things. They're partnered with this other institution called Shakruna. There's like a volunteer aspect of things. Of course, they're also working with the Shipibo. And so there's harmony that they're striking. But at the end of the day, it still is capitalism and drug tourism. So it's a little hard to rectify that when considering the nature of the work. And I think that's my thought, because here's the thing. My takeaway is and I know this is a somewhat disorganized free flow here, but again, don't worry. I still know we're going to get into the Vomitivo, all of it. Don't worry. Believe it or not, I actually have a finger on the pulse. It's called looping. So with this Temple of the Way of Light, like I remember thinking afterwards, I guess I could drink ayahuasca again. Like I would do it again. I think when I was fresh to it, I was more open to it. Like, yeah, when I'm 30, I'm going to for sure drink ayahuasca again. Like I'm already turning 31 in like a week at this point, 2 weeks. So that's off the table. And my perspective now is, no, I could go to the rest of my life never trying this again. But the context of which I would consider it, just putting this out into the ether, just going to put this out into the ether. No need, no urgency. I'm good. When it comes to ayahuasca, my cup runneth over. And in this episode and the following episode, we're going to explain more as to why that happened. But I probably would be open to it if it were more on this like interpersonal level, where I knew someone who was somehow an access point and they were like inviting me into the container. And even if that meant I pay some sort of like down payment or fee for the experience, that's fine too. It's almost like the experience finds me, Now, see, I'm making myself very vulnerable to people that are like, yes, Spencer, come, you're invited. But I think it's one of these things where I would play it with my gut. Like if I really felt like let's put it this way. If Tim Ferriss is listening, what's up, Tim? If Tim Ferriss is listening and Tim hit my line, it was like, hey, Spencer, I really love your podcast. Somehow your podcast, I love it. I just want you to know where I have no idea where Tim lives. Who knows? Texas, San Fran. I don't fucking know, bro. But if Tim hit my line and is like, hey, Spencer, I also love Montreal. And I know this about Tim because I know once upon a time he was considering living in Montreal. So he's like, actually, Spencer, I love Montreal. And me and my personal ayahuasca me and my personal ayahuasquero are passing by Montreal, and like we would really be interested in inviting you into our underground ceremony. I mean, I'm not going to say outright yes right away, but I'm absolutely going to think about it. Like, are you kidding me? I'm absolutely. So that's the kind of situation I'm talking about, where I'm most definitely not going to participate in drinking ayahuasca in the context of which I did in the like drug tourism context. It just didn't feel right. There are reasons for that. It didn't feel like it. I don't think it's exactly what I was looking for, but I still got whatever I needed. So that's good too. I have a lot of gratitude for that. But like here's a little glimpse of what I'm talking about. We're going to fast forward. There was a ceremony. I'm pretty sure it was ceremony 3 or 4. No, sorry. Yeah, it was one of these. I was the last person to receive. Maybe I am going too far ahead, so we'll have to put in a pin in this. Okay, I'm super excited to talk to you about ayahuasca. So, as you know, there was a 2-week diet to follow. I'm in a keto, kind of like passing my time, enjoying just being in the culture, in the community. I really enjoy people watching. I really enjoy just existing in a city. In fact, what I really love to do, if you really want to know, and I would do this during daytimes, I'd throw on a hoodie, kind of like put on a disguise to mask the fact that I'm absolutely a fucking gringa in every sense of the way. I'd put on a disguise to hide how gringa I am, and then I'd go like walking into where locals actually live and kind of experience that. Like there's nothing really happening. It was just residents. Like it was just houses and houses and houses and street dogs and people, and like that's it. And I would just enjoy the process of walking around and feeling that. And I would enjoy being at this ayahuasca cafe and eavesdropping. I'd enjoy eavesdropping to other drug tourists talking about their experiences that they maybe just had. Or I would enjoy listening to people who I could assume like, oh, I think they're a part of my retreat. You know, it's funny. I don't remember if I did say hi then, or I guess I'm sure I did. Had I heard anyone saying like, oh yeah, I'm going in a couple days, Temple of the Way of Light, I probably would have said hi. And when it came to departure day, we all had to meet at like some hotel where a shuttle bus would pick us up. And it was just me and all the other tourists. So I'd say we were a group of, I don't actually remember, but I'll safely say we were a group of 25 people. And just to be really clear with how our ceremonies worked, because sometimes, and I've heard this, there are some ayahuasca ceremonies that they'll sit like 50 people all drinking in a night. How chaotic does that sound? That sounds insane. What was cool about my experience is the 25 people, they split us up. So there was like one group drinking one night, and then the following night there'd be another group drinking, and then we would be off. And I thought that was cool because it made it so that our actual container in the maloca, which is where we would drink ayahuasca, which is where the ceremonies would happen, in the maloca, it was like a group of, I don't know, 15 people at that point. So it's just a lot more contained, and energetically that lands a lot more for me, because I think I saw the option. There were other retreats, bigger groups that I could go to with these like 50 people things, and I just knew right away that is not for me. I'm a lot more attracted to intimacy. I'm a lot more attracted to like less is more. And when we got to the shuttle pickup, and eventually the shuttle bus drove us to like the fucking, I don't know, the river, like the Amazon River. I don't know which one, like a river. Drove us to a river. There were like maybe one big ass boat or like 2 boats, and then all of us would like disperse amongst the boats. And you know, at first we're all just new to this thing. Me and these tourists were all about to do this crazy thing together. And it's like a little strange. I remember on the shuttle bus, I was sitting next to one girl. I guess I should give aliases, because I'm not necessarily friends with these people today. They didn't really ask to be included in this. But one girl, I'll call her Emma. She was cool to sit next to on the bus because she was like, this was her second time working with ayahuasca. So it was cool to kind of like hear her take. And it's just anytime someone tells me it's all good, you'll see everything's cool. Like it sets my fears aside, because what am I afraid of when it comes to ayahuasca? I mean, I'm afraid of everything. Like, it seems like the scariest thing ever. You're going to drink it and then what? Like, anything can happen. So anytime someone can kind of like ground it, always felt really good. I remember on the boat, I was sitting across from another girl who would become my friend during the experience. She was much younger. I was like all the young people really gravitated with the young people. The older people gravitated with the older people. I guess her alias name will be Layla. We'll call her Layla. Layla, she was sweet. We really got along. Pretty sure she was from South Africa. So she had this like cool accent. She's younger than me. Like, here I was thinking I'd be one of the young people at 24 going to this thing, but she was like 19. She was also there with her father, which I thought was kind of adorable. Like, okay, interesting. My parents would never, but this is really interesting. So once our boat landed, so like we're kind of cruising down this river, kind of in silence / get to know ya small talk with the others. And looking around, I was taking pictures. I had a digital camera. Once we land, it was interesting. There we got to like the shore. The temple itself, like the retreat, was still a 30-40 minute hike out, like into the jungle. And I travel light. Even why I don't feel too guilty right now, not participating in the move with my friends for our new home. At the end of the day, I would have just been really helping them with their shit, because me, even the shit in my bedroom, like, it's not much. I'm not necessarily a minimalist. I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm a minimalist, but I don't need much. I'm really bare to the bone in that way. It doesn't take much. So when I traveled to Peru for my month, I actually just packed a backpack, like not even a travel hike backpack, like a school bag, like a knapsack. So that's like 22 liters, basically, like an average school bag. That was my packing. I had that, and I think I had like one little like over the shoulder bag too, probably. And so when we got off the boats, what I felt really good about myself was you had all these, I don't know, like all these like local kids, I guess, like probably Shipibo people just waiting there to take all of our fucking luggage for the 30-40 minute hike into the jungle. And it was really cool to be able to be like, no, I'm good. Like, it's here. I got it all. It's on my back. I really like that. Like, I'm able to travel into this jungle and carry exactly what is mine for me as I am. Whereas everyone else has shit tons of shit. And they need like multiple Peruvians to drag this into the jungle for them, as is the nature of drug tourism. I mean, granted, it's like a business. People made money, so I'm not going to hate on that. Like, it's supposed to be win-win. If anything, me being so efficient is like taking away from someone else's income. So I suck at the end of the day. But I did feel good about that. That felt more like congruent with me. I will also say, when I was in Peru, I didn't have a fucking hairbrush. So packing light is sometimes dumb as shit. I remember I used Layla's hairbrush when I was at the retreat. And when I got back to Iquitos, I used a fork from the kitchen in my Airbnb. I tried looking for a brush or a comb to buy in town, and funny enough, I just never found anything. Shout out to Iquitos. I never found a brush to buy, and I also wasn't that motivated. I thought, what am I going to do, really? The whole fork system's really working out for me. For sure destroyed my hair, but hey, it worked. So we get to the retreat, and the first thing we do is not much, because it really is just like introduction time. It's basically day 0. I even wonder if I could find it on the site, like ayahuasca retreats, because they would have a curriculum. So there's the 12 days, 5 days, 12 days, 3 months. What? Residency program. Okay, that's why. Here, 14 to 28 days. Traditional plant dietas at Shipibo Rao. Okay, well, I didn't do that specifically, but I did do 14 days. And some of the people in the retreat with me, I mean, most of them, honestly, it was a smaller group doing less time, but most of them were doing the full 28 days, including Emma. Actually, she was on 2 weeks. Yeah, because we got food in Iquitos after together. Emma was on my timeline. Layla and her father, they were on the full month stint. Most people were on the full month stint. So I did the 14 days, and that doesn't really matter in the moment because the 14 days, like, you only really notice it towards the end. I'll get to that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. No notes. Welcome to Show Ahora. No notes. The best podcast ever. In my mind, we're on track. I hope that my listener trusts me. When we get to the retreat, it's really like get to know you. We meet our facilitators. I don't know if I should name these people again, because I just out of respect for them, like their jobs, their brands. Like I know one of them has like an active podcast, so like he's a person. The other one who I really liked, Sarah made up that name on the fly. She was awesome. Again, she's a person. Like I don't really want to interfere with their lives, so maybe I don't really want to name these people. But they were our Western facilitators. They're like the integration point between us and the Shipibo, because the actual healers who are facilitating the medicine, who are actually serving us the ayahuasca, like these are the curanderos. These are the indigenous healers. These are the medicine people, or also known as, also at times referred to as a shaman. But the culture of the ayahuasca I participated in, I think the word like shaman is not something they would ever really recognize, or like I think it's a little memeified, this word shaman, and so I'm pretty sure the more common term is curandero or curandera, feminine. But yeah, our Western facilitators are basically American people who just like live at this place. I don't know how many ayahuasca retreats they've had. I don't know what qualifies them to be this way, but they were very grounded energetically. Like my read on them right away was like, yeah, these Americans live here. It shows. I don't know what to say. Like they're really skinny. They were really like thin, not in a frightening way, but sort of in the same way I only had to pack a backpack. You know what I mean? Like these people are just in this jungle, working with this medicine, eating their vegetarian meals, and nothing too much else. So like they're extremely efficient, and it really showed in their bodies. They were very poised. They were very collected. They really kind of represented like maybe who you would want to be energetically, because they seem to have such a pull to them. And the first thing we did upon arrival was, as a group, we kind of just did like an introduction, sitting around a circle and just introduced ourselves. And then after that, after we get situated in our I think it's called the Tambo, like the place where we were staying, which we all got our own little place. It was like hybrid. It was like a cabin that was like cut in portions, so you have the illusion of staying alone, but of course you had neighbors in the walls next to you. Good bed, good place. Like I think I paid around 3,000 USD for this experience. Like the price reflected that, because it was solid. I found it was solid, and I was also paying for the illusion of safety. There are so many other ways to take ayahuasca. In fact, I remember speaking to someone in town telling me, speaking to a local. I told them I went to the Temple of the Way of Light, and they're like, wow, because they already know that's the top dollar one. And they're like, there are like donation ayahuasca things you could do. You just pay what you can and you just take ayahuasca. And I explained to them, that's probably awesome. That might have been better. Because it actually goes along with my own value system, especially maybe more so now. Maybe I'm like less of a capitalist. Whereas like I'm more into like Vipassana, I'm more into pay what you can, I'm more into like this win-win framework. And it might have been better, but what I explained to them then is, listen, as a Westerner, here's the thing. We pay for trust. So when I was paying my $3,000, I'm trying to pay for the best experience, and like an experience I could really trust. And frankly, if I were to go into I don't know how to navigate their website so quickly, but part of the selling point is they had a video endorsement. This website had a video endorsement from motherfucking Dr. Gabor Mate. That, like, this is, okay, I'm paying $3,000. Because if Dr. Gabor Mate is endorsing your place, like, that's good. That's sold. Now, maybe that's a little naive, but it worked for me in the time. I'm like, this definitely pushed me over, because I was already familiar with Dr. Gabor Mate's work. So to see him endorsing this specific place was like, okay, yeah, I'm for sure going here. So after the little introductions, we did the Vomitivo. The Vomitivo would be the Band-Aid rip. And that's basically what it is. So the purpose of the Vomitivo is to vomit. Yeah. It's just to vomit. This is not ayahuasca. This does not happen in the Maloka. We did it outside. We did not take any drugs to get it done. You just needed to vomit. The one thing I can't remember, where I wish I had a curriculum, is I can't remember if we did this the very day we entered day 0 or if we did it day 1. But I'm kind of led to believe we did it day 0, just because I think as soon as day 1 hit, like waking up at the retreat, ayahuasca was happening for someone's group. I think I was the second group, because I remember after the first ever ceremony for our retreat, asking everyone the very next morning, like, how was it? Tell us everything, because it would have been like my turn drinking later that night. So day 0 is Vomitivo. That's no ayahuasca. Here's the premise of what it is. The objective is to vomit. They want us to vomit because they want, like, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was like this is like the most funny cult indoctrination activity ever. Yes, it says on the curriculum that a vomitivo would be happening, but like you kind of don't realize what you're getting yourself into until you're there. I think it's a really brilliant way to break the ice, because working with ayahuasca is such a strange thing, and we're all these strangers from around the world. I mean, most people were American, but that wasn't completely true. There were some Europeans and someone from South America, et cetera, et cetera. Someone from South Africa. A lot of people were from South America, but they were usually working. They were working, not attending. Then that maybe they're Canadians. I don't know. Mostly Americans. We're all strangers to each other. We haven't broken the ice, and it's like the first activity we're all doing together is vomiting. And so the way it would work is they had brewed a lemongrass tea, so just lemongrass and water in a warm water, and they would take us like 3 or 4 by 4, like maybe 2 at a time, 3 at a time, enough that they could kind of supervise, because we had our 2 Western facilitators kind of like summoning us and watching us to make sure that we were participating in the vomitivo correctly. So if I remember correctly, because I'm doing this based on memory, we were given, when it was time to vomit, we were given a cup of warm lemongrass. And what we had to do while standing, like we're like standing aiming, okay? We had to drink the cup of warm lemongrass in one go, not one gulp, but just like drink, like swallow. And then next to us was a pail of water. And then what we were to do is, after we finished that lemongrass, we then keep paling our cup full of water from the water pail next to us, and we have to keep drinking and keep drinking and keep drinking. And basically what would happen is we would... Okay, I have to do another trigger warning. Shout out to that person who emailed me who said, just trigger warning as you go. Just do it. Just content warning. Okay, so I already discussed, we're talking about vomiting. Let me just also say, and I hope that this was kind of implied when I mentioned vomiting, but eating disorders, just straight up, I'm gonna mention, like, I'm gonna make an observation about someone just because it was an observation I remember making in the moment, thinking like, oh, this activity is kind of triggering. Not for me, but I can tell. It's like triggering. I can tell. So just to finish the vomitivo, here's how it goes. Lemongrass, drink it, clear it, and then just keep basically filling your system with water. Like it's water. What will happen pretty much naturally is your body will reject it, and you'll just kind of like naturally vomit it up. I know this sounds kind of insane to anyone who's never considered working with ayahuasca or doing anything like this. Like, why? Why are you doing this? Well, I thought it made a lot of sense in the way of ripping off the Band-Aid. Like, you're going to be doing this thing that's like a big leap. It's like a scary thing to do. So might as well warm up to it and like get your groove going, sort of like dispel any anxiety around vomiting is kind of how I saw it. And, I also social dynamics nerd. They didn't say it like this, but I saw it right away. I'm like, oh, this is a great icebreaker, because we're all less than a few hours into knowing each other, and we're already like getting ready to watch each other vomit. Great icebreaker, great icebreaker. There's no holding on. You can't really hold on to much there. And I think at first it was like volunteer basis, whoever wanted to go first. I subscribe to the leadership model. Leaders eat last, et cetera, et cetera. So I like to let other people, even though it would maybe be a relief to get it over with, I like to let other people volunteer themselves if they feel like they need to. Because some people really want to get it over with. I'm kind of like, it is what it is, right? So wherever I go, I go. I think I ended up halfway or 3/4 through the group. That's when I did my Vomitivo. Again, like 2 to 4 people at a time. And I had my facilitator, I had the woman watching me to make sure that I was doing it correctly, meaning like I got it all out. Like I don't know what the fuck they're looking for. I don't know, to be honest, but like she was like, more, Spencer, you need more. And I think, before I get into the ED trigger warning, what was so funny about my Vomitivo is the facilitator woman, she said to me, Spencer, you were the first person I've ever seen laugh during the Vomitivo. And let me say, that must be my purge, you know, laughing. And I'm like, how am I the first? Because this is the funniest shit ever. I don't know what, like some, of course, vomiting is so personal. I get it. Some people look really fucking distraught. Some people look like they're just coping. Some people, whatever. But like, I'm finding this hilarious because it doesn't get funnier than this, guys. Are you telling me we all just paid money to gather here together and vomit together? This is the dumbest thing ever, but like in the best way possible. So yeah, she said, I'm the first person she's ever seen laugh during the Vomitivo, which honestly is high praise. High praise. So you can imagine me chugging the water, vomiting, which is, but just to be clear, it's mostly liquid content that's coming out of us. Because like, we're not that fed at this point. It's mostly liquid that's just coming out of us. It's that kind of vomit. It's very clear. And I'm laughing because it's hilarious. Like, this is so absurd. And I'm pretty sure at some point she told me, it's not all out yet, Spencer. You're going to have to get your fingers. Now, this is why I say the trigger warning, right? Because fingers, like, I'd never at this point ever successfully made myself puke, ever. I think I'd tried, I like experimented because I was curious about it, like, making myself puke. Like, I think maybe sometimes I like, when I was a teen, I would consume things that were dumb or I'd like have regrets and then I'd want to go and try to puke, but it never worked because I just didn't know how to do it. And so it just never became a thing ever. So then here she is saying, you're going to have to use your fingers. I've never done that before, but I'm like, okay. And I did it, honestly. And it's so weird to say that this was like a cool moment for me because I learned a new skill. And I know it's weird to say it. And I am sorry, although I hope that anyone who would have been triggered by this has dropped off, you know, because I'm not trying to invite that kind of chaos in anyone's psyche. But I will say, in the weirdest way possible, I walked away from the Vomitivo feeling confident in myself because I felt like, oh, now I know how to make myself throw up, which is useful for if I ever feel like I've ingested poison or something, you know, like there are times when you might need to vomit and I've never known how to do it. But in that moment I learned like, oh, you just, not to give a tutorial, but like, I just never committed, you know, I never really put my fingers into the place where I need to go to like trigger that gag reflex. So the Vomitivo taught me that I'm one of the first, at least that facilitator saw, of drug tourists who laughed during the experience, which I find that funny. Like, how am I the first? This shit is ridiculous, but okay. I'm the first to laugh. And also I walked away from it knowing how to vomit. And I'm not going to lie. Yesterday when I was in agonizing pain, like in between vomits, and I really just wanted relief, like I was using my skill set, dude. Like, I'd drink water and then I just put my fingers where I knew I needed to put them to trigger the vomit. I didn't make a habit of it because yesterday I was actually ill, so it's better to just let it happen. But there were just some moments I was in so much pain, like I just needed to get it out. So that was the Vomitivo ceremony, where I observed like more. This is more deeper in the trigger warning. I remember because I'm people watching throughout the whole thing, obviously, and I remember there was one girl approximately my age, and she was already like a skinny, angular person. And I remember observing her, and I don't think I'd done it yet. And I remember just thinking like, damn, this experience is weird, right? Because it's really bringing out everyone's thing. Like for me, it was laughter. Great. This one girl, I could tell, I'm like, nah, she's clearly got a history of an eating disorder. And I don't quite have that myself, like not beyond like a little binge eating problem here and there. But like something related to anorexia or bulimia, I don't have it. I have people really close to me that have struggled with this, so I'm familiar with the indicators a bit. And when she was in her Vomitivo, like I remember the woman facilitator at some point said, you're good, you're done, basically, you're done. And this girl, she was like, no, there's more in me. And I just remember observing her and thinking like, yeah, see now, like people's demons are coming to the forefront because this girl is clearly someone who already like I will go on a limb and say already deals with disordered eating and like that kind of eating disorder habits. And like here she is being instructed to vomit, and like she's achieving perfection in the process. That was really interesting. Like this little anecdote has nothing to do with plot of my story. I'm just sharing what I thought, like, oh, that was like interesting to observe how, these little things we're engaging in can probably obviously trigger someone. It was interesting to see how the facilitator let her off the hook. Like, you're good, you're done. You're done. And then there she was fighting for her place. She's like, no, there's more. I'm like, damn, girl, okay. So as soon as I was told I'm done, I'm done. You're right. I don't want to keep doing this. Are you kidding me? Especially once we got the fingers in play. I'm like, I just need to get on with it, guys. Get on with it. So that's that first day. It's like just adjusting, getting to know people. Let's kind of world build a little bit. I mentioned there's the tambo. They're like different tambos, these little cabins all throughout the property that are split up in usually like 2s or 4s or whatever. And everyone has their own place. Everyone has like a hammock. Everyone has a bed. It's pretty legit. Everyone has, the toilet situation. It was compost toilets. So compost toilets, meaning it's not flushing running water or anything, but it was actually like, even that experience was kind of inspiring because it was surprisingly good. Like, of course, I'm not responsible for cleaning the compost toilets. Someone else was. So the maintenance factor of the compost toilet is not something I had to confront. So who am I to speak on that? But in terms of use and usability, just throwing a bit of compost over your poop, like, it actually does totally bury the smell and bury the whole thing. Like, it wasn't that bad, the compost toilet situation. So there were multiple compost toilets throughout the property. In this there's like a big main hall, which is where our where we do our eating, like kind of like any group meeting or any like chilling can happen in this big hall. So yeah, you could think like there were like maybe, I don't know, 6 to 10 large tables with benches for eating. There was a little library nook corner. So there was like, yeah, what was it exactly? It was a cool kind of couch situation. It's not really a couch. It was more, it doesn't even fucking matter, right? But it was like a library corner. And then a lot of the books in the bookshelf, there were books that other travelers had left. So a lot of the books were pertaining to this kind of work, like spirituality or whatever. And I would actually spend a lot of my time in the library corner, usually hanging out with my friends who I had there. And it was a little ageist in the way that I think on that day 0, during the Vomitivo, during the group get to know you situation, our Western facilitators were spending that day 0 trying to figure us all out as quick as possible and deciding who the groups are, because we didn't really know, like the drinking groups, that is. And then the groups were decided. So there was like group A, group B. I was in group B. And you could really tell, like, okay, a lot of the younger people, including myself, are in one group. And then a lot of the older people are in another group. So like certain decisions were made. What is really interesting about the people who drink on the 14-day retreat, which was me and a few others, we get 5 ceremonies. But because of how the schedule works, we actually had to, just the 14-day people, we had to at some point have one ceremony with the other group. So I from group B would have to go to group A for one night. And I forget exactly when it took place in the timeline, but I think it meant that there was a night. Now, if I just would have done the work of cracking open my fucking journal before recording this, I could have told you. But I don't even know that my journaling self wrote it all down in those details. But there was one night where I would have had ayahuasca, and then the very next day I was having ayahuasca again. So that was just the little anomaly that was different for the 14-day people like myself, is that we actually had a back-to-back ayahuasca ceremony. Just because if we were all going to get our 5 ceremonies, we all had to take a turn in the other retreat in the other drinking container to get our days. And what I also thought was interesting was how each container was its own little energetic sphere in a way. There was another woman, she was with group A, but I remember on my last ceremony, so like the retreat entirely isn't done, but for me it was basically. On my last ceremony, that woman, she left group A. And also I just want to say she was like a volunteer. So she kind of had a way of working the system. Like she had the right to do this. I don't think I could have done this, but she went for one ceremony, actually joined my group B, just willy-nilly. And she said she did that on purpose because she had a certain intention that she wanted to work through, but she knew it's not something she could have worked in with her group in that Maloka. she wanted to sit with our group. And then that always stuck with me because I thought, okay, it's interesting that you feel that way. Like, what makes you feel that way? What makes you feel like you need to come into our space on our night to work through whatever you're working through? Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I thought it was interesting. I also felt flattered because she was trying to come to the container I was in. It's my main character thing. So yeah, day one, my group with all the young people, no ayahuasca. So what that would look like is, I mean, I also mentioned it was like a yoga retreat. So there was a yoga instructor there. I will say her name because it's probably not even, respectfully, it's probably not her real name. Like, it's probably her yoga ayahuasca hippie name. And if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry, lady, but her name was Anya. And, yeah, I really liked her. I really like beautiful, older yoga instructor women. It's nice energy for me. I like it. Me gusta. But, she was like kind of always just holding a little bit of space in this other maloka like container up a hill, which is where the yoga would take place. So that's pretty much what days would look like. It was like yoga, chilling, you could journal, read books, and talk. I basically spent the first day being like getting to know people, being anxious because I haven't had the ayahuasca yet, so I just don't know. And then when it comes time for ceremony, so just so you understand what it kind of looks like, is I'm pretty sure it would work like this. Like, we had a drinking night for group A and then a drinking night for group B. And then I'm pretty sure there was a night where we were all off. And so on the drinking nights, the way it would work is we all had to be basically lights out by, I don't even remember exactly, but it felt pretty early. Like, we had to be lights out by like 7:30 or 8. And so what that meant is like this big hall where we all hang out in. It's not the same place where we drink ayahuasca, of course, but it's like just a little walk away. So any noise would travel, any light could travel. So we had to be lights out. We had to all be back in our tambos once it was like 7:30 or 8 p.m. because that's like honoring that the ceremony is happening. Even if you're not drinking, the other group is drinking. So we basically had to have that curfew to like respect the space. And it is kind of cool because it makes it more symbiotic if you think about it, how, okay, like even when we're not drinking, we're still participating in ceremony. We're still respecting the ceremony. We're still with it. And yeah, then after the first ceremony, not mine, but the other group, I remember wanting to know, like, tell us everything. Because anyone who hasn't done this yet, like, it's scary. You can't imagine. Now, here's the thing. For the first ceremony, they give what they call a diagnostic dose. They're diagnosing just to see how you respond. So everyone on the first ceremony gets the exact same amount. And it was, if I remember correctly, basically just a shot glass. That's it. It's a small amount, and most people I spoke to after their first ceremony reported feeling absolutely nothing, okay? There was one person who had a little something whimsical to say, but that was it. Out of that entire group, one. Everyone else, nothing. Then it was my turn to drink. So let's talk about the pre-ceremony rituals. Before the ayahuasca ceremony, we do a flower bath, which is kind of cute. Basically, get in your bathing suit, head down to this, there's actually so many details I'm missing, but I guess because I want to focus on the ayahuasca and not all the other things. Because some of the other things is like every morning we would do like juices at the, like the healer's cabin, basically. It's like their like HQ where they would be brewing the ayahuasca. And like every morning everyone got shots of different juices. Everyone got the same juices, but some people had like some people had a special juice as prescribed by the healers themselves, because we would do these like intakes where we got to meet with the Western interpreters. We were probably doing this on day one, honestly, meeting with the Western interpreters and also the Shipibo healers. And we would kind of like explain any ailments. So I remember something that I had said, because I was struggling with, and I really was, is I'd been feeling really constipated, like in that traveling experience, which makes sense because like I am definitely much more of a constipation leaning person. Like I'm more anal retentive. Like I'm a control freak, right? And here I am, I'm traveling and I'm nervous. So I explained to them like, yeah, I'm not really like having the most success passing a bowel movement right now. So I was getting the juices that everyone was getting. I was also getting a little something else, and I was getting a massage on my stomach, only on ceremony mornings. When it was my morning to drink ayahuasca later that day, I would go into the cabin, and the Shipibo healer, who's a woman, there was always two, a man and a woman, It was always the same. I'm also going to refrain from saying their names just out of respect for them. She would massage my stomach, like where my intestines are. She was like massaging into it. It was really interesting. It was really interesting because I didn't know, like, what is this for, really? But hey, I love it. It's attention. It's attention. It's like physical contact, and it's special because not everyone is getting this. So that's just like some of the little details of like the little things that would happen, the juices or whatever. There was one juice in particular, I'm pretty sure it was just like a shot of ginger, something. It was just like, so it was like a honey lemon ginger is how I would equate it. It for sure was not that, but it was like so yummy and refreshing and citrusy. It was so good. I really loved those shots. It really was like the life of that. I really loved all the little things around the ayahuasca. The ayahuasca too is cool and good, or it is what it is, but it's like everything around the ayahuasca is good. So when it was my first ceremony, we do the flower baths. So we show up to like this little area. They have this like water, cold water, if I remember correctly, cold water with flowers in them. And there's someone there just like pouring it on, like I'm like seated and then they just like pour it on me and that's it. It's like the flower bath. I don't know exactly what its purpose is, but again, we're like following whatever the tradition is being shown to us. So for sure it's like some sort of cleansing intention thing. And once it's flower bath time, you're meant to think like you're in ceremony. It's on. Like you're not yet in the maloka, but it's coming, because after the flower bath, you basically just take yourself back to your tambo and go get ready, go get dressed, go get changed, like put on all the clothes that you're going to put on for the night, get your blanket, get your flashlight, get everything that you're going to need for ceremony because you're in it. I would definitely wake up, like I'd treat every day like a ceremony day, but especially the ceremony days, as soon as it was showtime, go time, I'm waking up. Like to me, I'm on. Every step counts. And in my first ceremony, we'll just rip off that Band-Aid. I don't remember my intention, which is an L because I should. I don't remember my intention as I flip through my journal really quickly. After ceremony 2. Gratitude with Anya. Oh, okay. Did I only start journaling after ceremony 2? Okay. That's okay. Well, that's fine because nothing much happened in ceremony 1. Basically, I had the small dose like everyone else. Nothing really happened. Just to explain what happens in the actual container of ceremony, we have the 2 healers, the 2 Shipibo healers. We have the 2 Western interpreters, and they sit at the middle of the room. The maloka itself is like, I don't know, an octagon or something. It's like a round infrastructure. And like I mentioned, there are like maybe 15 people drinking, and we all have a mat kind of spread out evenly throughout the maloka. So at the extremities of the maloka, while the healers and the Western interpreters are in the middle of the maloka. And we all are given a bucket for obvious reasons. So when you walk in, you could see there's a mat. I think our names, because once we had a drinking spot, that's where we stayed. We stayed in that rotation the whole time. So I had my spot. And then that's it. That's the same spot I go to every single night, except for the night where I drank with the other group. When I drank with the other group, I had a different spot, and I'm going to get to that. But I had my spot, which means I always had the same neighbors. I always had actually Emma on my left, and I had another woman on my right. I forget her name, but she was really sweet. I remember being aware of her because her energy was so nice. It was so light. She was so interesting. She never this woman on my right, she never vomited. She was so gentle. I'd only ever hear her like laughing in joy or something. Like it was so nice. I don't know. There's something about her. And she had like this very like white aura about her. Like the energy was like so light. So she was a fascinating character to observe and to be drinking next to. And then I was happy to be next to Emma as well because she was like my friend in that context. So it's like, oh, I have my ally right next to me, which is cool. And you kind of like bring your own blankets, bring whatever you would have needed. I think I had blankets. I didn't have, or I borrowed a flashlight from someone. You need a red flashlight because I guess a white flashlight would be too jarring when you're in the act. When you're in the act of ayahuasca and all the lights are off, the white flashlight would be too much light, whereas a red flashlight is like just slightly more demure. I guess it's not to throw off the drinkers or like throw off the environment. That's how I took it. I had to borrow someone's flashlight. And we're all called up one by one to drink. So when it's your time to drink, you're called up one by one and you sit across from, actually, I am skipping a little bit. Before the healers even enter the maloka and we're all there, we actually do an intention setting moment with Anya, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was always with someone. It was usually with like some facilitator. And it was just a chance to like sit in the little group that we are before the ayahuasca enters the room, before the shipibo enter the room. And we just get to like speak about what our intentions are, like share our thoughts. Okay. Just to share that, like we don't like enter just cold. We kind of enter, gather in the maloka, have like a community moment. Then we go our separate ways onto our mats. And then the actual healers enter and they got the juice, the jungle juice. And when you're called up one by one, well, other than during the first ceremony where everyone gets the same dose, in the other ceremonies, you can say, I want the big cup. You know, what are you feeling tonight? I want to go big. I'll have a little cup, whatever. You get to kind of tell for yourself. But on the first night, everyone gets that shot glass. You're warned that it tastes really bad. I don't know how to describe the taste of ayahuasca. I don't remember hating it. It's obviously gross. It's obviously it's got a very intense taste, but I don't hate it. It tastes the way it should. I don't know how else to explain it. Same with magic mushrooms, like psilocybin mushrooms. Yeah, they don't taste great, but they kind of taste like the way they should. I don't know how else to put it. And I took that first little dose, sat on my mat. Something that we're told is if you feel tired, if you feel like you need to lay down, the way you should lay down is with your head facing the center of the maloka, and so your feet facing outside. For a few reasons. One, out of respect, because if you have your feet facing inwards, then you're basically pointing your feet to the healers. That's one reason not to do it. Two is also because the healers themselves actually take time individually, one by one. They will sing us in Icaros. They'll sing us in Icaros one by one. So this was really cool. So that meant that every ayahuasca drinking night, I would get two catered Icaros, which meant that I was listening to everyone else's Icaros as well, because you kind of took turns. So basically, it'd be like these, I guess they would start at separate ends of the room. I almost want to name them now. I'm going to give them names. So the woman healer, her name, I'm going to call her Mary. And then the man healer, I'm going to call him Fabio. These are not their names, okay? They're renditions of their names. So look at it like this. Mary and Fabio, they'd start at other ends of the room. And where they would start is they'd sit across from someone on their mat. And for the most part, all of us on our mats, for the most part, are seated upright at the front of our mat. We're seated upright, ready to receive in Icaros. So an Icaros is a healing song that the Shipibo are singing. What I thought was so cool about how they explained the Icaros is they explained to us that they see us, the drinkers, as if we are like a tapestry. And what they're perceiving in us is they're perceiving kind of like these loose threads, or like a little patch up needs to be happening right over here at the top, or like there's a little like hole down here, and there's like it's tearing over here. And when the healers are singing their Icaros individually to us, they're looking at us as this tapestry that just needs a little bit of work. This is what I'm told. I can't imagine from their point of view. I don't know. It's all hearsay to me, but I thought it was really cool. So when they sing to us, they're singing in response to what is directly in front of us. And so just to point out, I mentioned there is that really like light woman on my right. I want to point out that every time she received an Icaros from the healers, her Icaros always sounded so like it's just so lovely. And then the healer, once they were done, because like I'd say an Icaros is probably 2, 3, 5 minutes max. And then they move on to the next person. So it's going on for like definitely over an hour. That's for sure. Ceremony itself is probably on average like 2 hours, probably, but it's hard to say, obviously. So you have this woman who always get these really lovely songs when it was her Icaros, and then either Mary or Fabio would scoot their butt over across from me, and then the singing, the Icaros would start, but it would be like, it'd be like darker. It'd be darker or rougher, like less musical. And it would always make me wonder, like, damn, what the fuck, you know? Because what's up with me? What's up with me? Meanwhile, you have this woman on my right. She never vomited. She was never, like, possessed by demons. All of her icaros came out so lovely. Like, I swear, she must have been an angel or something. I don't know what's up with me, but my icaros were not as lovely. And my experiences, well, they wavered. Now, during the first ceremony, nothing happened. At some point, I did just feel tired. You know, I stayed with it. Like, I stayed seated up and, like, meditating essentially with my intention, because the way they would frame it is, look, on the first ceremony, while you might not feel anything, you have to trust that the medicine is working. And I trusted, you know, because I'm like, it's true, right? Like, I might not feel any perceptible effects of the ayahuasca, but that doesn't mean it's not working. Like, it's within me. So it's here and it's doing its thing. Like, it's being introduced to my system. Like, it is the diagnostic dose. At some point I felt tired, so I did lay down with my head to the center, my feet outward. I think I was only conscious for one of my icaros, and I think I was asleep by the time my second icaros happened, which again is not advised, which is why they do encourage us to stay upright, but they always say, like, look, it's like the purge, right? Whatever happens, happens. Like, if you feel really called to laying down, then you should lay down. We're not here to, like, resist things. It's just that it's advised, especially during the process of receiving your icaros, that you're seated upright. That's all it is. Now, I don't remember my dreams. I don't remember much. I just remember, no, I didn't really feel anything perceptible. That's it. The next ceremony 2. So I actually can read a little bit, but my concern is I didn't proofread this before reading this. So we'll see where it goes. Okay. Medicine ceremony 2, October 3rd, 2019. I'm still up just past 7 a.m. Drank my first big cup of ayahuasca sometime around 8:30 p.m. last night. Would have asked for seconds after about 3 or 4 icaros, at least after I received my first icaros. Sarah is the name of the Western facilitator that I made up. Sarah seemed a bit skeptical to give me a large dose. I knew I needed it. I did. Pause. So once we got into the second ceremony, then we were told, look, guys, this is the ceremony where you can ask for more. You can ask for seconds. On the first ceremony, no one's asking for seconds. It is what it is. We just want to see how you react to the first little dose. Okay, that's it. The end. Nothing too extreme. On the second ceremony, now it's time when you can ask. Here's how you ask. That red flashlight I mentioned. Okay, if you're in ceremony, basically what they would say is, I'm pretty sure they did say at least wait until you've received your first out of your 2 icaros from the 2 healers. At least wait until you've received your first icaros to ask for seconds, because you don't want to go in over your head, right? Like, how do you know? How do you know if you need seconds? So wait until you've at least received your first icaros. And when you do decide you want seconds, you take that red flashlight and you turn it on and you flash it behind you. So it's not in anyone's view, essentially, unless someone was across from me in the Maloka, then they would see. But you flash it behind you, at which point a Western facilitator, so in this case it was Sarah, she would come up and be like, hey, Spencer, how's it going? You know, it's like that, like, hey, how are you? What's up? And then, and then I would have said, I was wondering if I could have seconds, okay? Because I'm allowed to ask. So I started my ceremony with a big cup, and I wasn't feeling it take off or blast off. And I really wasn't feeling it. And the reason why I ask is because, like I said, I waited. There had already been a passing of multiple icaros, so like 3 or 4 icaros throughout the entire Maloka. I already received my first icaros, and I could just feel I'm not feeling the medicine at all. And one thing that they told us, because we would do these like group debriefs also during the day, the question, how do you know if you need seconds? There was a really good answer that the man facilitator gave, which is, like, if you have to ask, do I need seconds? It's very possible you do, okay? Because the alternative, as he said, is when you are in the medicine, and that's the language they used. When you are in the medicine, you won't be wondering about seconds, okay? It's like, it's not going to be there. You're not going to be wondering, like, do I need more? It's not happening. That's not how it's going to work. And so if you do, like, obviously wait, give yourself time to digest, like, let it land. But indeed, if you do have to ask, like, maybe I want seconds, you probably do. And so I'll keep reading. That's just to share like why that happened and why Sarah was skeptical, because she didn't quite know me yet. And, but I knew myself, and I'm like, girl, as one of my fellow meditators actually did say later in the retreat at one of the group debriefs, she said, and she was an Australian, I'm not going to say it in the accent because I'll fuck it up, but I'll do something. She said, I didn't come here to fuck spiders, which I thought was pretty brilliant. But the premise of what I understood that quote to mean is, I came here to take the big cup. Like, I came here to go big, bitch. I came here to go big. I'm not coming here to fuck spiders, which I don't really know what that means for Australians. If you're an Australian, send me an email, Spencer@socialdynamicsnerd.com. But I took it to mean, and as she explained, like, I didn't come here to just dilly-dally. Like, I'm here to fucking do this shit. Let's go, baby. So I didn't come here to fuck spiders, Sam. Sam, damn, now you know her name. Sarah, whatever. Sam, Sarah. No one's listening to this. Who cares? Her name's Sam, okay? I really like Sam. I don't need to give her a fake name. She was good. Fuck. So after I drank the second dose, she whispered to sit with whatever comes up. She says, it's a big dose. So I did. I sat up. Immediately felt extremely nauseous after the second dose. My chance to purge, but I suppressed it to retain the effects of the medicine. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So like as soon as I swallowed it, I wanted to puke, but I kept it, which is smart. The rest of the ceremony was a senseless blur, just feeling distracted by people, purging along with the Icaros. It's similar to my drunken shroom state, just different feelings, sensations. It's that gap of lucidity when your body is very inebriated, all thoughts in order, a grasp on reality, just some funky geometric stuff, and my own discomfort in the way. You know, I vaguely remember living this moment too. What I notice I'm living in this experience is it's like my body is something is still holding on to a tangible reality, but yet I am under the influence of the ayahuasca at the same time. Like, it's both. Like, I am inebriated, and yet here I am saying like, oh, but I have all my thoughts in order. And I'm more so, instead of paying attention to myself, I'm paying attention to the sounds of other people puking around me. I'm paying attention to the sounds of the Icaros happening. Like, I haven't even puked at this point. The discomfort of not feeling what I'm looking for, even on a high dose. Where's my purge? This is my concentration. Okay, so going into the second ceremony, my concentration was about the purge. I'll lay down. That'll do it. Okay, I'll sit up. Do I light mapacho? I don't want to disturb the room. Where's my purge? Not long after all that chatter, the ceremony ended. Folks around me already snoring, sound asleep after being hard at work purging. That's when I felt the concentration shifted. I felt sad for myself, that I'm so keen on gripping to control in reality that I'd let myself miss out on the purpose of this trip, this medicine. Sitting there, I just felt lucid and bad for myself, pity that I won't let go. I'm just reading ahead to make sure, because I think there's some things I don't want to share here just because they're personal. No disrespect to my listeners, just because they're very personal. But I'm going to keep reading. I got a bit angry too in my sadness. I locked my jaw shut super tight, feeling the grip of my bite unlike ever before. That pressure in my jaw brought up the frustration with myself, and the whole experience shifted, both subtly and profoundly. I didn't get any more magical hallucinating visions. It was just me sitting with my own self, feeling through my control muscles and ego. More and more, I quietly wept. Super quiet. No one would have heard. I really remember living that. That second ceremony, tight ass jaw, like as tight as can be. Ceremony's done. The healers have left. Everyone's out. People are asleep. You're also welcome to leave when the ceremony closes. You say thank you. Like, you know when it's done. It wraps up. The people in the middle, they leave, okay? When it's done, you can leave yourself. You can go back to your bed. You're also welcome. Then they encourage this. You're welcome to stay in the Maloka and sleep the night. They do encourage you stay in the Maloka. And there I was staying there, and I had, I think, 2 big doses in me at this point. And I never quite felt blast off or lift off. I never purged. I never let go. And I remember feeling all of this anger at myself, and yes, this pity, this upset with myself. Like I'm here. I'm here. Spencer, you did it. You've been thinking about this for years. You're here now. You did it. Can you get into it? Fuck, go, bitch. Let's go. But, and especially in my younger 20s, this is very younger 20s coded. I was such a fucking control freak, dude. So it was frustrating because I really was there in my like tight jaw, just like feeling, girl, what the fuck? Let it go. And I was crying, but even the way I was crying, it was like so controlled. I didn't want anyone to hear. Yeah, more and more I quietly wept, super quiet. No one would have heard. It hit a deep chord of impatience with myself. When I revisited my concentration from a new anchor, if my overarching intention is to let go in love. Okay, so the initial intention was to let go in love. Free-flowing, resolved. I did just that, but used Camellia as a trigger, my girlfriend at the time. So I'm not going to go into reading all this, but I do disclose how I was reflecting in that ceremony, how I've been such, up until that point, I've been such a problematic girlfriend at some points in my relationship, and I felt so badly about it. And so I was using the trigger of thinking of my girlfriend and my love for her to get myself to fucking let go and like really feel into it. I was basically concentrating on all of my self-distaste, dislike, self-anger, self-pity, anything I hated about myself. I was really bringing up in this moment. And yeah, this is too personal, so I won't talk, just for my relationship's sake, my ex-girlfriend, I won't talk about it, but it was all, the whole takeaway is like just thinking about how she was a motivation for me to really take this work seriously. Because if I come out of this and I'm not like addressing some of my demons, then what the fuck am I doing here? You know, I didn't come here to fuck spiders. So finally, I must have spent a whole hour or more wanting to leave the Maloka, to be properly alone, but I felt stuck because it was so dark. It's true. It's so dark. That was a pretty silly hour. I already felt so silly, whispering cock-a-doodle-doo to myself, trying to channel the rooster energy or whatever. I don't even think they were roosters, but there were these fucking birds that would always like every morning outside of the retreat. I think that they were something else, but they were rooster coded, so we're calling them roosters. Yeah, I remember that I wanted to really leave, like get out of the Maloka. So think about that. I spent my first ceremony not feeling anything because I took a small dose. I spent my second real ceremony feeling things, but not with a proper focus. It was more like chaotic, and it was a lot of resistance, and it was a lot of control muscles. And it's like that first layer of confronting all of my control muscles. Like I didn't even puke, and I had the chance to. And you know what's so funny, looking back at this, I probably would have had more success that night in the weirdest way possible had I puked right after I took that second dose. When I felt it, when I was like, oh my God, immediately I'm nauseous, I could throw up. But I retained it to let the medicine land. You know what's funny though? Had I engaged in a release muscle right away, it actually could have had, yet sure, the ayahuasca might have not absorbed, but it could have had a different blast off experience. Like the release muscle of purging could have opened up a door for me, but I decided to like stay in the control because I wanted to maximize the medicine. So as we'll go back to the journal, I spent a whole hour wanting to leave the Maloka. It was probably like 3 or 4 in the morning. The ceremony's been done forever. Most people around me are either gone or asleep. Finally, I got the focus to rise to go pee, which felt great. Once I was up and out, I just stayed out, strapping on my sandals and walking to my tambo with the red flashlight. It was a wonky walk. As soon as I got in, I turned on my phone and plugged in my earbuds. Yeah, this is awesome. So at the retreat, you're not supposed to have your phone on. You're not supposed to have your phone on. It's like no tech, no communication. You're fully into the experience. The facilitators presented the option to leave your phone with them. Like they would hold on to it, which, for instance, my friend Layla, she did. She was 19. She did because she said she does not trust herself. And I thought, oh, girl, that's crazy. I trust myself. Like I could keep my phone and have it off the whole time. It's fine. It's like a corpse iPhone. Who cares? But on this second ceremony, in the middle of the morning, I remember I broke the rule. It's the first time. It won't be the last, but it won't be the last. We'll get to that in the next episode, I promise. It won't be the last time I break the rules with ayahuasca, but I broke the rules and I went back to my tambo and I turned on my fucking phone, plugged in my earbuds, and I remember having such a great time. So like I took the energy of the medicine that didn't quite land for me and nothing quite came of it, but it was still in me. It was still an experience. And I brought it into my own terms and I brought it to my own little personal tambo. And I remember sitting on I had my hammock kind of like on a back porch. And I remember sitting there as the sun was rising. So there was light coming into the sky. And I was doing what I call interpretive hand dance. So just kind of like vibing with my hands in front of my face, like moving along, listening to different music. And I honestly had such a fucking good time. I had such a good time. I hit play. This is the journal. I hit play on my ayahuasca playlist, starting with Bonobo's Black Sands album, sitting in my back porch hammock, dancing the silhouette of my hands and the 3 a.m. sky and trees. And that's been the night ever since. I danced. And I remember one song I danced to, and this was like right before, I don't know if my phone died or I wrapped it up, but I think my headphones even died, which is kind of funny. It was like, this was the last time I could listen to music when I was in Peru. I had one of my favorite songs by Basement Jaxx, which is it Where's My Head At? Yeah. I'm trying not to confuse it with Pixies. Where's Your Head At? Pretty sure it's Where's My Head At? And I remember blasting Basement Jaxx, and I was in my tambo, which I mentioned it's like connected to other people who are sleeping. And so I was fucking dancing so hard, but with my feet still. I remember being inside my tambo in the darkness. I had one of my favorite, most upbeat songs. Like, you have to go put this on right after, like right now. I don't even care. It's worth not listening to me. It's worth canceling my podcast to go listen to Basement Jaxx. And I had my feet locked, planted on the ground, but the rest of my body was dancing so fucking hard. And it, when I think about it, it was a purge. When I took myself to my tambo and engaged in dancing, it was a purge. It's just that this isn't what's recommended to do. Like, this isn't prescribed as by like ayahuasca standards, right? I'm not supposed to be doing this. And then my phone died or my headphones break, and I never look at my phone again throughout the experience. But I broke the rules that one time, and I fucking am so glad I did, because I had the best time. Like, I still sometimes think about that moment, and still to this day, like, I loved Where's My Head At by Basement Jaxx since I was a child, because it plays in the credits for the movie Tomb Raider that came out in 2001. But I like loved it more after that experience, because it was the first time I paid attention to the lyrics. Don't let the walls cave in on you. We can't live on without you. It was the first time I actually paid attention to the lyrics in the song, and I was like, yo, this song's fucking deep. Don't let the walls cave in on you. Ugh, so good. I was just really feeling it. So back to the journal. Having so much fun in the dark, headbanging, air drumming for hours. So it's like the first part of my ceremony sucked. And then I did it according to my rules, and I loved it. I had a great time. But of course, at that point, I wasn't really, quote unquote, in the medicine. I was just kind of wide awake. Like, I was wired after the second ceremony. 6 minutes until 8 a.m. And frankly, I'm just beaming. Exhaustion hasn't set in yet. Still listen to the playlists on Bad, Not Good, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Took 2 great poos. Aw. Finally, that's a true game changer. I'm going to take it easy now. We'll continue to reflect and integrate. Okay. So that's awesome. Eventually my 2 great, it's so good if anyone's ever struggled with constipation, especially while traveling. Once you get it out, it's like, game on, bitch. You have no idea. It's like showtime, go time. You have no idea what's ahead of you. Once you get it out, once it's passed, The world is your oyster. Okay, so the next journal entry. The next journal entry is following day before third ceremony. So it's the day after that second ceremony, and it's before my third ceremony. So I wonder if this is when I drink back to back. It's hard to say. So let's see. It's possible it is. It was yesterday. I'm reading. It was yesterday during group share where I realized my next intention. First, I shared with the group that I hadn't slept yet and went into the frustrations of that ceremony, feeling like a victim of my own control and stubbornness, thinking I'm so fucked that not even ayahuasca could knock me on my ass. How's this me? What is that? Ass. How this made... Okay. Yeah. I'm so fucked that not even ayahuasca could knock me on my ass. How this made me sad and angry. Sorry if it sounds like I'm having trouble reading my writing. It's because it's hard to read my writing. God damn. I didn't know I was writing a future letter to my podcast at the time. Shit. I shared how thinking I will fail Camellia, who loves me and believes in me. And that was the moment, because as soon as I mentioned Camellia's love for me, I choked up. That was the truth. Yeah, I remember that. It's like following the truth, following your why, right? So in that group share after my second ceremony where I'm still wired and I was saying to the group what were my reflections, what was my experience, what's on my mind. And as soon as I mentioned my reflections on my girlfriend, that's when I felt myself like, like choke up. And so that to me was bingo. That's the threshold. That's the place to focus, is if that's where you're choking up, that's where the truth is at. So my intention for tonight's ceremony is to ask the medicine to help show me what's in the way of love. This is such a theme for me, something in the way of submitting into love. I know there's probably fear, but I want to know more about it, to understand that mechanism of control so I can rest my mind there and attempt to resolve it. Such a funny thing for a control freak to say, like, yes, I want to understand the mechanism of control. For sure, girl, that's going to help you let go. Oh, it's cute to read. There were other things I didn't write yesterday about ceremony too. Just seeing if I want to read this. Yeah, okay. When I was in my purge of tears, thinking of Camellia, my dogs, and my friends, I thought about how sad it is to be stuck on my mat in the Maloka when I really just wanted to play. I wanted out. I'm going to skip that one because it's a little TMI. TMI. Yeah, TMI. Don't worry. You could use this time of me figuring out my ducks in a row to drink water or something. Okay, here. I don't have a healthy relationship with play, because on the other side of play lies the risk of not feeling good, feeling naughty, weird, or bad. And just for context to my listeners, so you understand what I skipped over, because I don't mind sharing in principle what I'm talking about. I'm not comfortable sharing details needlessly. So I was sharing how there were times in my childhood when I felt like I was sort of like my naivety and vulnerability was like exploited for other people's benefits, and like things would be framed as play, but they weren't, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Sorry, I didn't give a trigger warning there, but it's because I also didn't know how, I guess the trigger warning is childhood sexual abuse, perhaps. I don't even know if I'm comfortable with those words for my story, but that's kind of like a clinical way to put it. So I'm sharing here that some of the reflections I was having on the second ceremony was how it's like I wanted to get out, I wanted to be released, I wanted to let go, but I just want to play, and I want to like expose myself to the world, but I'm like afraid of it at the same time. These were the things that were coming up. And the condition of playing requires I forfeit my comfort while letting others do whatever is fun for them, right? Like that's a previous paradigm belief. It's like it's for other people. Playing is for other people. That was definitely an insight worth noting down. Back to yesterday's group share, I shared something else, which I haven't yet written. That at the, this is so funny. That at the last leg of me feeling stuck to my mat in the Maloka, I oddly had scenes from Batman, The Dark Knight Rises playing in my mind's eye. Specifically, Bruce Wayne, stuck in the prison cave after being brutally beat up by Bane. Bruce knows Gotham needs Batman, but he's stuck. The only way out of this cave is to do a leap across those platforms, a jump that is thought to be impossible. Bruce prepares his mind and body, meditating, training every single day. He attempts the leap many times, secured to a rope as a harness around his waist. He never makes it. Finally, he's given insight that his fear of death is holding him back. Only makes the impossible leap once he surrendered the harness and jumped with everything at risk. And that is true. My second ceremony, when I was in the, like, my tight jaw, my tears, my reflecting on my relationship to play, my friends, my girlfriend, like the way I feel about myself, the way I project myself in my relationships. And when I was feeling stuck, I remember my mind, and this was sort of like, it's weird because it wasn't quite an ayahuasca vision, but it was like a very cinematic thing I kept coming back to. And it's truly based on a real movie, The Dark Knight Rises by Christopher Nolan. And I kept seeing the cave scenes of Bruce Wayne in my head, and I kept feeling like him. How flattering. I felt like I was the beat up Bruce Wayne about to go save Gotham. That's how I felt second ceremony. That's right, listeners. I'm Batman. This kept playing in my mind, which I understood then on my mat that I was already so eager to leave, go back home, love Camellia, play with my friends, but the work is not over yet. In that ceremony, I didn't take a leap of pure faith. Rather, I dance with my resistance that keeps me stuck. It's not yet time to, quote unquote, save Gotham, but I'll get there. Medicine, show me what's in the way of love. I'm ready for you. By the way, today is Silent Day, which I'm glad is on Ceremony Day. It seems romantic to go into work with the medicine after being silent all day. All I've said aloud is gracias or tareka, which is thank you in Shipibo. Cool. So we'll read about the next, the aftermath of that following ceremony 3. And just for my listener, because I feel like this like middle, the second installment, this part 2 of the ayahuasca, me without my notes. Yesterday I was puking all day, which is why I really, really wanted to record. Like, I came here to record this, but like after all that vomiting yesterday, oh baby, I just had to. Oh, we got to talk about ayahuasca. I just vomited like crazy yesterday. I have to. I feel good, by the way. It was just a 24-hour bug. And I mean, I'm showered. I have clean clothes on. It's all good. I'm recording. I'm talking to my people. Like, what's up, baby? This is amazing. But yeah, this little part 2, I'm obviously it's like a bridge. What I'm really looking forward to sharing is my final conclusions on the whole ayahuasca thing, which I know we're going to get into in the next episode. So for anyone who's here for the bridge, thank you for being here. Recording the podcast is probably one of my favorite things to do, and it brings me so much joy, and I'm so happy to be here with you. So thank you. And of course, if you ever had feedback, you know where to find me. You could find me everywhere that you find me, but especially send me an email, spencer@socialdynamicsnerd.com. Okay, next on the journal. The next morning, reflections after ceremony 3. I drank the big cup, concentrated on my intention, asking the medicine to show me what's in the way of love. After a long silent wait, the maestros, that's the word I should be using. I'm so dumb. Well, I'm not dumb. I just didn't study, right? The language they use as healers was maestro, maestra. Anyways, the maestros began their icaros. They truly dictate the ceremony. It's unbelievable. So they, as in the maestros, the healers, the curanderos, their icaros, the songs that they're singing, it really sets the frame for the container. And this is so key to keep in mind, because some of my upcoming ceremonies are really dictated by the icaros. So here I'm saying that like they're like the DJ, right? Because they're defining what the container is for us. Like they're like the person at the front of the orchestra, like really running the show. So The medicine came on so strong and suddenly. I only realized I was intoxicated because I realized I was sobbing. Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't remember that, but that's just how psychedelic it is. I kind of remember not remembering it, if you know what I mean. It's like, imagine this. Whoever you are, wherever you are right now, maybe you're sitting in your car, maybe you're sitting at home, maybe you're like doing a task. Out of nowhere, you just are sobbing, but like you don't feel yourself start sobbing. You just realize I'm sobbing. That's what it was. It was like, oh shit, like I'm in the medicine because like things are happening to me, right? The purging is happening and I'm not even really aware of it. It's a dance between being fully in the medicine and somewhat grounded in reality. Okay, so I'm still in my control muscles at this point. I'm like still like, I'm kind of letting go. I'm kind of not. I felt my face become the Icaros. Oh yeah, I remember that. The patterns moving chaotically over my forehead, cheeks, lips. It was extremely disorienting. I was not sure what to do, but continued to concentrate. What's in the way of love? Meanwhile, as I was completely disoriented, having my face and senses becoming the nauseating patterns of the Shipibo Icaros, the Maloka was entering full chaos. People purging, laughing, crying, total chaos. Pause. I want to say, because I don't say it in the journal, but I'm 99% sure, this is the ceremony, hence why it was back to back. This is the ceremony where I'm with the other group. And if I don't say it in the journal, because I was preserving optics for my journal, I'm going to say it here in the podcast, but I'm going to finish reading this first, and I'm going to say something I observed, and it's critique on the drug tourism. But I come in peace saying it. I just want to be like so straight up with things I observed. So yeah, the Maloka's entering total chaos. I'm also sitting. So why I wanted to point out this is like the other group that I'm drinking with. I'm doing my back-to-back ceremony is because I'm sitting where I don't normally sit. I'm sitting at the end of the line. So that means that the very last Icaros will be sung to me. And when I hear the last Icaros, it means that's it. Everyone's had their Icaro. So I'm the last one that will get it. Okay. I realized that the more I found myself in my head trying to navigate the intoxication, the more terrible it felt. Reflecting on passages I read earlier in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, how everything is happening in us. It all exists in us. The pain, the relief, it's ours. My mind was revisiting the absolute chaos, making it all the more fucking crazy. I experimented with going into my body. What if I could pull my awareness to my feet? It felt saner out of my head. I understand the mechanics of a quote-unquote bad trip. It's rooted in resistance. Knowing everything is okay, will be okay. I reached for my bucket, knowing it's close, meditating on the question, what's in the way of love? Just as quickly and surprisingly that the medicine came on, so did my purge. Probably 3 good vomits. Okay, so those were my first vomits outside of the Vomitivo that we did on our day 0. Those were my first vomits, which is, as you can tell, this is the thing I was really like afraid of for whatever reason. I was like really afraid of kind of going through the milestones of working with ayahuasca, and I obviously had a lot of resistance built up around the vomiting. But what was so interesting is what I say here. All the chaos, the spirals, geometry that was taking over me as sensations in my face, getting pulled on it. Oh yeah. Getting pulled on it in the purge. Imagine Jim Carrey in The Mask, the ropey, stringy effects of pulling on the mask. It was the Icaros taking me over, rooted in the intentions. I cleaned up the tension using my bucket. So here's how it felt. I was hearing the Icaros. If you go on YouTube, you can listen to an Icaros. I was experiencing the Icaros as the thread of tapestry, like throughout my face. I felt my body to be the Icaros. I felt like I was one with the Icaros, but in a very chaotic and frightening way because it was so unfamiliar to me. And then where I found the relief of tension was when I finally just reached for my bucket and I vomited. And what the experience of the vomit, the 3 good vomits, was like all of those sensory visual experiences I was having, like perceiving my body being taken over by Icaros. It was coming out. It was like exiting and being pulled off of me through my vomit into my bucket. And that's what's really cool about the nature of the purge during ceremony is not only does the Icaros dictate ceremony, Well, your ability to purge also kind of dictates ceremony too. Because I would notice that like once I purged, it's not the type of thing, for instance, that I had yesterday. And this is something I was thinking about yesterday when I was thinking about recording this. I thought, okay, yesterday when I was sick with a little stomach flu, 24-hour bug, I'm like uncomfortable all day. I'm sick all day is what it is. I'm so sick I can't listen to like a video or a TV show or anything. Like I can't scroll TikTok. I was so sick. I only felt like I could just stare at a wall. That's it. I could stare at a wall, groan, vomit. That's all I did all day long until it was like after midnight and my stomach had clearly stabilized. Then I was able to look at my phone. Okay. I was so sick. Now, what's interesting with ayahuasca is like, yes, there's nausea. Yes, there's these experiences, but I guess I'll only speak from my experience. The way I felt was once you vomited, then it was over. For me, it was over. Then it was done. As in all of the discomfort, all of the nausea, any quote unquote bad trip, once the release muscle engaged, then it was fine. Everything was fine. So let's see what I go on to write. Because out of all these ceremonies, I honestly remember this one the least, but it was definitely impactful. I remember the nature of the purge felt like ridding some black fluid from my body, darkness. After the purge, I was sitting up in shock, taking time to investigate if there's more, reflecting on how the patterns have greatly subsided. Better, breathing deeper. My lungs today feel more liberated than ever before. Later, I cried a bit, thinking of my mom and dad, how much I love them, realizing for the first time that the ring I always wear on my left ring finger is mom, and my never stop fighting necklace is dad, which I stopped wearing that necklace, but I recently found it and started keeping it in my pocket because I didn't have a chain, and I felt really good having it in my pocket. Now, where the fuck is it? Somewhere in my room. I'll find it when I go back home to move later. For years, I've not gone a day without these totems, and only now the archetypes make sense. So only then did I realize, like, I've been wearing jewelry that represents my mother and father for years, every single day. Like, I never thought of it in that framework, but when I think about it, my mom gave me this ring that I always wear, and this necklace is associated to my dad. I thought of what my mom would have felt for me when she held me as a baby, leading into thoughts of growing up, how she could have felt when I was a troubled youth, how much pain she felt, the weight of her motherhood, the responsibility I have to do her love justice. On the reflection of my pained youth, I chose to visit my teen self in my bed, feeling pain, hurting myself deliberately in so many ways. I momentarily grieved from the love of a nurturing mother, wanting to pull that little girl in and tell her it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, that's nice. Now that I'm reading, good thing I wrote this journal. Now that I'm reading it, I remember this. Yeah. It started with seeing a perspective that I thought my mom would have had holding me. And then I started to think of that motherly perspective, but me thinking of my teenage self. Like a lot of the unseen moments that no one saw when I was like, yeah, just being fucking little masochistic monster in my bedroom. Little depressive masochist. I squeezed my necklace and thought of my dad. Strength. My dad is truly so strong. That is the best description. Going in and out of tears and peace. Last night, I could hear people in the Maloka going through their audible exorcisms. Some people exalted in pleasure, bliss. I just kept coming back to calm. Not loud, not expressive, just holding space in myself. I was the last Icaros. By the time the songs narrowed down to the last 3 or so, and I felt my lungs liberated and breathing, I decided to adjust my concentration. No longer asking what's in the way of love, I focused on love. Just love. During the final Icaros at my mat, I felt love. Love, ecstasy, not exalted in blissful pleasure, just calm, focusing on how it is all here in me, that love is inside of me. That was the gist. I have ceremony tonight. I'm not positive on the intention. However, I feel this inquiry seems like sorry, I have no idea what I wrote. What if I didn't fear losing control? What if I didn't fear death? We'll see how I work that out through the day until ceremony, right? So I would kind of take each ceremony day to think about my intention throughout the day. And by the time I got to ceremony, by the time I got to the flower baths, I'd have my intention kind of worked out. Here's what I wanted to say about that ceremony I just read about, which I spared from my journal, probably to spare critique. So, I mean no disrespect to anyone. The healers did amazing work as far as I'm concerned, I will just say that what was so funny is because I was the last person, and I remember I'm normally with group B drinking, but this time I was with group A, so I was seated near the exit, last person. The exit meant that it's like where it's a high traffic area, like anyone who's getting up to go use a compost toilet, you're doing so outside of the Maloka. And that meant that I'd often like have people passing by. There'd be like flashlights, right? Like I also wanted to say, it's not that essential, but just to be clear, there's always like a local kid, kind of like a local kid from wherever, probably like a local Shipibo kid who's like working the door. There's always one or two kids. They're teenagers likely, or like young adults, but they're basically helping us drinkers get ourselves to the bathroom once we do step outside. I personally avoided using a toilet when I was really in the medicine, just because like less is more. Like I don't want to have to get up. And thankfully I didn't really have a poop response to ayahuasca, so that wasn't so much of a problem. But obviously an element of purging is diarrhea. I'm sure it happened for some people. It would kind of happen to me it happens to me in my last ceremony, but it also would happen like the next day. So it's almost like there's like a purge that continues to happen. And because these lights would like flash where I was seated, on my last Icaros, sung to me by Fabio, so it was the man healer, a light flashed on him. Now, you have to imagine what I just wrote in my journal. Like, here I am feeling love, feeling good, like I'm in it. Things are changing, right? My lungs feel liberated for the first time in ever, like never before. Wow, it's really, something's up. Ceremony 3, something's up. And I'm receiving my final Icaros. I'm the only one in the Maloka. Mary, the woman, she's done singing. She's back in the center of the Maloka. It's just me and Fabio. Now, at one point, someone goes to the bathroom during the Icaros, and a light flashes on Fabio's face as he's singing the Icaros to me. And I just have to say, I'll never forget, this man looked so bored to be singing the Icaros to me. It's unbelievable. Like, I'll never forget that visual because it kind of took me out of the moment, because obviously I'm in my moment. I'm in the medicine. It's like this big thing for me. From his point of view, and where I empathize with him is, I've worked jobs before where I can't wait for my fucking shift to end. Are you kidding me? And that's what it looked like. So this is what I mean by, hey, Tim, hey, Tim, if you're listening, someone like Tim. Hey, Tim, if you're listening and you happen to be passing by Montreal with your own personal curandero, and you're thinking, hey, I just want to cultivate a cool ayahuasca container with like cool people, and Spencer, you seem interesting, like would you be interested in joining us? Well, based on invitation, I feel like I would consider it, right? Because I feel like there's a degree of intentionality across the board. Whereas on this third ceremony, when I got that glimpse of Fabio, and he's like a much older man, who knows how long he's been doing this work. He's a healer, bro. He's a healer. There's no disputing that. But at the end of the day, from my point of view, when that light flashed on him when he was singing the Icaros, it looked like any person who's about to wrap up their shift and they just want to go fucking home, bitch. They just want to go home. I'm sick of it. Yeah, I'll never forget. He was sitting cross-legged across from me. He had like, and again, also, I need to keep in mind for myself and everyone listening, I very, 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 very possibly have the absolute bias of my own projections on someone doing their job. Like, for all I know, all he was doing was being an excellent healer, and there was nothing out of the ordinary in that moment. My interpretation is this man was sitting cross-legged. He had like his cheek slumped on his fist kind of thing, like, you know, his arm, his elbow on his lap, and then his fist and his cheek kind of slumped on his fist while he's singing the Icaros, and he looks bored as all hell. And honestly, as much as it kind of took me out of the moment, it didn't take me out in a way of like, oh, he doesn't even care. It took me out in the way of what I'm actually intending to say now, which is, yeah, it kind of just looked like this guy. And again, I could just be so wrong and full of projections. So please consider that, because I'm considering it. But from my point of view, it just kind of looked like this guy is so sick of this and he just kind of wants to go to bed. And that is so fair, and I can relate. Because I've done so many jobs where I've been at the crunch time of my shift, like just 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Oh my God, we're almost there. 5 more minutes. So in a sense, as much as it kind of derailed a little bit of my focus, it only derailed it in a really like human way. Like I felt like I could relate more to this healer, because he's like, same bro. I also can't wait to fucking wrap up the shift. Same. Like I'm sorry that it had to be me. Like I hope it's not like personal in any way. I'm sure it's not. But like, wow, I'll never not see that in my head. Like it was a great ceremony through and through, start to finish. But that was the one little takeaway. So much so I don't even write about it in the journal. You know what I mean? Like not even the journal got the real. But you guys are getting it, because I never forgot. I never forgot how fucking bored Fabio looked. Okay, we're going to read this next one. This is when I start to really feel the shit. Like I remember, yeah. The 4th ceremony was pretty intense. The 5th ceremony we're saving for the next episode, because that's when we're going to wrap it all up, like all my concluding thoughts. You know, again, like I said, this is like the bridge. We're bridging here. Morning after ceremony 4. Ayahuasca is no joke. This is definitely not something to just meet with in hopes of finding yourself. It's medicine and reveals exactly what is sickness inside. Last night, as I continued to refine my intentions, I ended up with, how does fear serve me? I drank the big cup. What happened next is hard to explain, probably impossible. I found a climbing sensation in my front body as dense darkness. So I laid down. I sort of had no choice. I kept concentrating. How does fear serve me? Pause. Remember how I said laying down, the facilitators say like try to avoid it, but sometimes the medicine just pushes you down. Don't resist it. So in this ceremony, it's like I drank the medicine. Nothing had started. People were still drinking. People were still going up one by one, taking their drinks. The Ikaros had not started being sung, and yet it was starting for me. So that's what's interesting, is like each ceremony was so independent from the other one. It was not predictable at all. Whereas I find if I trip on mushrooms, for the most part, there's something I can predict. There's some variables that are always present in the mushroom trip of psilocybin. With ayahuasca, every ceremony was goddamn different. Like it was just so different. It's so different. And I only had 5. Like imagine some people have had ayahuasca ceremonies 100+ times. Like imagine. And they're always different. Can you imagine? So how does fear serve me? Suddenly, I realized I couldn't move at all. I felt paralyzed. Visuals, can't explain. A realm of colorful geometry, like a kaleidoscope melting into itself. I realized my paralyzed body was melting into this place too, into the place that I was visualizing. It's like everything was just in this visual that I can't quite explain, you know? It's just a visual. Like a kaleidoscope, chaotic, psychedelic visual. In a way, I could call it beautiful, but it was terrifying. So it was visually beautiful to look at what I was seeing in my mind's eye. It was colorful, it was vibrant, it was visually beautiful, but the experience of seeing it felt terrifying, which is interesting when you think of my concentration being, how does fear serve me? This happened before the Ikaros. Silence. Just the sounds of bugs in the jungle outside of the Maloka. I was definitely inside fear, gradually slipping away to a place I don't want to go. I lost an understanding of my legs on the mat. I still understood that legs are something I should have, but I couldn't understand how they were placed. It felt like I had the legs of a cricket. Like my knees had morphed, knees had buckled to be inverted, like, you know, it felt like those insect legs where, imagine your human legs, but they're buckling in the other direction. That's how it felt. That's how it felt in this moment. Still an unending silence in the Maloka, paralyzed, slipping away. In my head, I said, help me. Help me. A lot, like I do in my sleep paralysis. Put a pin in that, listener. We're going to get into sleep paralysis in the next episode. Put a pin in that. Help me, help me. I just wanted the Icaros to start. I was terrified of the silence. No anchors. Before drinking, I took off the jewelry that I had previously acknowledged as totems of security. No anchors. So the ring, the necklace, I took it off. I took time to remember mindfully taking those off. How I bid adieu to each one. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. More and more, I was quietly slipping into a scary place. Zero control. I mustered enough concentration to reach for my bucket. Knowing this is fear and the medicine can help me let go. But I waited for the Icaros, feeling like an hour had gone by. I needed the security of knowing I'm in the Maloka, but I didn't want to purge in silence. Okay, yeah. So there's this little discrepancy of timing because the medicine has hit me 100% at this point. And yet the ceremony has barely started because the Icaros are not even being sung yet. Because usually what would happen is everyone takes their drink, one by one, everyone drinks. And then at some point, the healers just start. But they start on their own accord, right? Like they dictate, they're running the show. So they start when they start. And there I was knowing vomiting would help me, purging would help me. But I was like not really feeling like I wanted to do all that when things hadn't started yet. So there I am. I'm like fearful, but in control. Then as my body continued to morph into this insect alien thing paralyzed on the mat, I lost my intention. Serve, how, fear, those words, fear, that's the word I was looking for, but it kept slipping. I accessed my name, tried, but it was gone. I played a memory of Susanna saying, "The big cup is big." I regretted it in that moment. Susanna was actually the drinker who joined my ceremony when she wanted to work with something specific and she wanted to be in our container. And so she was just a fellow meditator. And yeah, she said the big cup is big. And so I was replaying the moment of me putting my totems, my jewelry down. I was replaying the moment of this woman, like basically all the foreshadowing, like, oh shit, girl, you're biting off more than you can chew. I was disappearing. My own name. Like I remember that was a really strange thing. And that's why it's hard to describe. And it's almost irrelevant to describe these things because it's so personal. Like, yeah, I forgot my name. Okay. So like, I know it now, Spencer. It's not that hard to do. But in the moment, you just have to imagine like my concept of body and concept of words and language, it was really not there. Like I wasn't even really in that part of my mind. And even the fact that I related it to sleep paralysis, like I really was in probably more of like a dream state of consciousness, I guess. Like someone way better at providing like the actual mechanics of what's happening with your brain on DMT or your brain on ayahuasca can speak to that probably a lot better as to what's literally happening, what's likely happening. But I think there's also the unknown of like what they call the spirit molecule. Like there's something that you just kind of don't know. You kind of don't know what's happening. So language gone. To explain that experience to anyone would be impossible. To even write it, inconceivable. To use language as a tool to express losing it is senseless. Name, gone. Words, gone. Me, gone. Body, gone. Into some creature-like state. I could just barely roll back to the word fear. But I forgot why I needed that word, that sound in my head. Sometime around the Ikodo starting, I felt there's an exit. Still paralyzed, confused about everything, I found enough sense to decide. If this is fear, I don't want it. As organically as possible, I then contorted my insect-like body to sit up, grab my bucket, and purge. Chunks of puke leaving me. When I got out of the aftershock of a hard purge, I felt I could sit up. My insect legs were gone. I still didn't know too much, like up from down, how my mat is shaped. If I was on it, where I was on it, how does fear serve me? I grabbed for anything, putting my bucket aside. I reached around my mat and found a flashlight. I just squeezed the dense little metallic thing, using it as an anchor, a reminder that I'm in the Maloka, I am okay, and fear does not serve me in any good way beyond full body paralysis. The rest of the evening was much safer. I reflected on my reality of Spencer and looked at how fear patterns are corrupting ecosystems, containers. I'm just skipping things, TMI. I thought of my TD app, my banking app, the numbers in my bank account, realizing it doesn't make sense that I'm broke. I'm worth more. Rather, I deserve a better container. TMI. All while I'm sitting upright, shaking my head no. Okay, well, let's read it. What am I saying is TMI? I thought of Camellia, so my girlfriend at the time. I thought of Camellia, how we also... Oh, shit. Too many, bitch. Okay, how I pull her into fear. Okay, I pull my girlfriend into fear. Sorry, I'm just having so much trouble reading my own writing. I'm so sorry about that. I pull my girlfriend into fear, compromising the container of our love, our health. I thought of her feeling lost or depressed. It didn't make sense. So like any of the darkness that I would perceive around my girlfriend, just also like, that doesn't make sense. All while I'm sitting upright, shaking my head, no. I thought of the people at their retreat. I thought of the people at this retreat, how we created such a beautiful and healthy container. Well, that's going to change a little bit, but up until this moment, it's good. I felt my saggy front body and thought of how that fear nurtured a body I'm not comfortable in, like kind of like a loose, out of shape body, didn't feel fully embodied in. Once the fear was purged, I just took a trip in my world, visiting different people and situations. I thought of how before I purged, how reality as I knew it was gone. Not a reliable anchor that could help me, how my relationship to Spencer O'Gallagher was gone. Thinking of Binky, was a friend of mine, thinking of Binky, how I know I visited the place she's afraid of. Interesting. I felt reassured. I have a very, very good longtime friend, and she's very afraid of losing her mind. And I guess I was reflecting on how, like, I went there, Bink, I did it. I felt reassured for her, knowing you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in that fear. I thought of the amazing medicinal plants here in the Amazon, the healers who channel that spirit, and the temple's facilitators who help hold the healing container together. I wanted to hug so many people. Later, I tuned into the jungle symphony around me, the same one that also orchestrated my state of insect paralysis. I thought of Earth. This place is perfect. Hurting it made no sense. Our container of safety. I thought of how people hurting the world just want power. My head was shaking. No, made no sense. Not okay. We have so much wealth just in the health of this planet. What are the power-hungry people afraid of? I thought of ayahuasca over and over in my head. This is no joke. Powerful medicine. I thought of some people's testimonials at RSD Tyler's events saying that a lot. This is good thing I did the RSD video. Good thing, I mean, not the video, the podcast. Good thing I did the pickup artist episodes already, because it's so funny that it's all tied in. I literally was just working at that company earlier that year. I thought of some people's testimonials at RSD Tyler's events saying that a hot seat, so that's an event I paid for, a hot seat is more powerful than ayahuasca. I thought about what the container of their experience could have been like to even believe Owen channels healing stronger than ayahuasca. And it's true. There were a couple of guys I met at these events with the pickup artists that'd be like, yeah, this event was more impactful than even drinking ayahuasca. But of course, there I am in the ceremony thinking about that. I'm like, really? Like, what were you guys, what kind of, What were you guys doing ayahuasca wise? Because how is that possible? This guy is more powerful, but I think there's an element of being a white man I just can't quite relate to. So who knows? This medicine and the Shipibo practice around it is no joke. This is not a psychedelic experience. This is what Tim Ferriss described as an experience of a level equal to brain surgery. You don't just, quote unquote, do ayahuasca. You work with it. It won't, quote unquote, give you anything. Just reveal shit. Not a joke. Thought of the people in my Instagram DMs fetishizing the idea of Peru saying, do ayahuasca. Yeah, I'm doing ayahuasca in 2 weeks. Silly. What are they looking for? Not a psychedelic. Medicine. This container, earth, perfection. Not something to be played with the way we do. I thought of my behavior, how I don't need to take so much, falling in the trap of hungry ghost. Little shout out to Gabor Mate again. Yeah, the falling in the trap of the hungry ghost. I need very little. Just a good container. In a home, in food, and all eating practices, my relationships, and I don't need to take any more than I need. I thought of the past 2 years of work, isolation, sleepless nights. Makes no sense. I must take care of these containers, my health, my environment, my spirituality, my relationships. I thought of Margot. She's brilliant. I'm going to skip past that. But good things for Margot. Good things. This is who I live with today. Speaking of containers, this is who I live with today. Thought of Stevie, Margot's dog. That beauty, how she's just as conscious, just as valid as any human. Stevie's still with us. We love Stevie. Animals, how they exist in their own realm of symbology. When I lost sense of self and language, that was like an animal state. Clearly, there was a lot. It's 8 a.m. and I have to go to Plant Remedies. Plant Remedies, so that's where we drink the juices. I have to go to Plant Remedies where we drink different cups of juices made by the Shipibo. I'm grateful to have learned how it is that fear serves me, and better to have purged it too, to come back to this container. Cool. So we're going to wrap up because we are about to go into the final ceremony, and I want to share all my final thoughts on the next episode. I will read because I see there's just one little page here. Just one little page. We'll just read this one little page. It's the night before final ceremony. I'm excited and equally nervous for all this work to end. Pumped to conquer the world. See, just pause. I wouldn't have used that word today. How dare I? Conquer. It's a colonial word. How dare I be? See, this is why it's cool to look at this years later, because even back then, I think I was quote unquote like more woke back then compared to my peers. But now I look at this, I'm like, girl, it's okay. It's okay. It's a process. And one day I'm going to listen back to Shoaura like 10 years from now, and I'll be like, oh my God, you were so dumb and immature and disorganized and full of it. Like, it's all bound to happen. And that's why I'm excited to keep evolving, because I really like looking back at the past formats of myself and seeing the milestones that I've evolved through. So yes, pumped to conquer the world with a refined awareness and sense of self. Nervous that I won't have the willingness or integrity to keep this work alive. Today, the 14-day people gathered for Arcanus to debrief before the final ceremony and discuss integration. Integrity is a huge part of integration. Respecting the dieta after and respecting the energetic healing by Fabio and Maria to keep their work sealed. I will drink the big cup tomorrow. Been working on my concentration all day, knowing I just want one final push in the right direction, thinking of leading in with this. Help me surrender to my higher self. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So those were the first 4 ceremonies. What we'll get into the next episode is exactly this. We're gonna get into this. These are notes to Spencer as well, because I know I'm gonna go back to listen to this before I recorded the next one. We're gonna discuss the final ceremony and how it's kind of like a plot change, because it just takes a different shape. And it sort of almost corrupts the experience, almost. We will also go into the sleep paralysis stuff, because that's going to be relevant. And I think that's it. But what will be cool is to share the takeaway thoughts on everything, because my favorite part of working with ayahuasca wasn't deferring too much to like the nature of the medicine being the all-powerful key to unlock all the magic. It's a tool, right? Like it is a key. It is a key and it is a tool, but it's not the only one. And I just want to say, if you've been listening, you know that I'm a big fan of Vipassana meditation. I'm actually going to my 3rd meditation retreat in 2 weeks for my 31st birthday. And when I finished my Vipassana meditation the first time, my takeaway was, I almost wish I had done this first before ayahuasca. Granted, I could have not had the wisdom of that perspective without living the experiences I've had, like without having had the ayahuasca. It's like I needed to live my experiences to have these critical hindsight 2020 perspectives. But the way I felt was like, yeah, sure, ayahuasca in Peru was powerful and has given me things to think about even all these years later. So the investment was made and like I don't regret it. And yet just given what I was looking for in terms of like really just like a sense of self, I think is really what it was at the end of the day. It's something I could have easily started working through just like basic meditation in a sober context. But I have no regrets. And I'll be really pleased to report sort of like the twist of fate in the next episode. So please join me there. The one thing I'll say, because I know I didn't touch on it, there are a few mechanical tools in the ayahuasca ceremonies. They're not so essential, but I didn't mention it. Mapacho is a tobacco that we smoke. And it's like really encouraged, in fact, because they consider mapacho to be a tool that helps lift the medicine in ceremony. And so you can use mapacho to lift yourself up, to awaken the ayahuasca. And the way that we smoke mapacho is like, yes, you smoke it, but one way that I thought was cool is like you inhale and then you swallow the smoke, and you swallow it in 3. So like 1 swallow, 2 swallow, 3 swallow. I thought that shit was so cool. And one of my favorite parts of going to Peru and doing this whole thing was learning about mapacho and working with mapacho. I would still be smoking mapacho to this day if I had access to it. It's just like straight up dark tobacco, no filter, no nothing, just straight up tobacco. One of my favorite things in this retreat was like working with mapacho every day, because that's really what it was. Like all day, every day in that little library corner, looking at books with my friends, my little friends, talking about conspiracy theories, talking to this flat earther. Oh, we are going to get into him in the next episode. Can't get through the next episode without mentioning this character, this flat earther. Like there are just so many daily discussions outside of the work, outside of the ayahuasca, where it was just like me, vibes, people, and smoking mapacho. The other tool that we had in ceremony was a perfume. It's just like a perfume that you could like smell or like pour in your hand. I don't know. I still have it to this day, honestly. I still open it up and smell it to this day. I'll like take a big inhale. I have very little of it because to fly with it, I had to pour most of it out. So I have like a splash. I have a splash of this perfume from 2019, and it's like custom made, you know, it's custom made, baby. So that's a cool thing. They say that's to ground yourself. So in ceremony, you have the mapacho to lift the medicine, and then you have the perfume to ground yourself to the mat. So you're kind of like welcome to work with both things. Also, as you saw in the one of the ceremonies there, I'm like, when I came out of losing myself, I was just reaching for any object. Like, oh, I found a flashlight. Okay, flashlight, grounding, a flashlight. It's like a tangible, real life thing. It's like the flashlight, this matter in my hand I can engage with. So that's it. Those were the first 4 ceremonies. That's my experience in Iquitos in the beginning. Next episode, we're talking about the last ceremony. We're talking about how it helped me, how it didn't help me. Maybe it hurt me. I don't know. You'll see. It's going to take a little twist, just a little twist, because we're going to break some rules as I do. Thank you for listening.